Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Popcorn Podcast. And I'm joined here once more with my wonderful friend, Jack Logan.
Thank you, Fergus. That was a nice intro for a change.
I'm not Fergus.
No. Wait,
I'm
what?
Knuckles McGinty.
Dun, dun, dun. What
I don't do nothing for no one for nothing.
Why have you got them on your knuckles?
I just thought it'd be funny.
That's...
I've just seen Paddington TV every day. What do you think?
I love it. Absolutely love it.
You can't really see the N. It looks a bit like Sis Fuckles, but we'll go with it.
How you doing, Fergus?
I'm alright, yeah. I'm good, Jack. You know, I've not spoken to you in a while. Again, it's just been one day, but yeah, you know, I've been fine. Been hyped because we've not recorded in a while. We've had to postpone the recording.
Yes, but we're back. We're fighting fit. The Popcorn Podcast is on.
As always, there might be technical difficulties throughout the episode. If Jack disappears, just ignore it. It's fine.
We'll see what happens.
It could be anything.
Yeah, my PC's playing up a little bit, but we'll just ignore that.
Maybe it got hacked.
Maybe it's possible. To be
Internet
fair,
archive.
Today I emailed. It's so dumb. I emailed John Kramer because I watched Saw 10, and you see his email, and I remember.
Oh shit! Online, yeah, true.
I remember reading online that if you email it, you get a funny little response.
What did he say?
I emailed it and just immediately got logged out of my Gmail. And I was like, John Kramer's fucking hacked me.
Oh dear.
But it must have just gone down. And I'll read it to you. I'll read it to you right now.
Oh, I'd kind of like to email him.
It was
myself.
Oh no, I'll tell you. So I emailed him, and I was very original. I said, "Hello, John. You don't know me, but I know you. I want to play a game." Yep, very original. And he said, "Hello. Thank you for reaching out. I'll be traveling out of the country for the next few days, so I'm able to flow over to respond to any messages. Best, John Kramer."
Oh, that was nice. What's his email? I want to email him something.
KramerJohn994@gmail.com.
Wait, okay, sorry. Right, run that by me again.
KramerJohn 994
994
@gmail.com.
@gmail.com. All right. You talk for a minute. I'm just gonna find an email. I'm just gonna think someone up to send to them.
Okay. So today in the Popcorn Podcast, we're not going to be doing our normal little catch up because we've got a lot to get through in this episode. We are going to be discussing, quite fittingly, as I was talking about John Kramer, we're going to be discussing the Saw
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh. Yeah, the Nightmare on Elm Street.
Have I just watched all the wrong films?
Yeah, you've not. Don't even pretend like you've watched a Saw movie, Fergus.
Yeah, no. Okay, well, right. I did say I'd watch a few to prepare.
Yep.
I've watched one.
No, that doesn't count. For reference, Fergus is talking about the 10-minute Saw short film that we watched before this started recording.
Well, yeah, but I mean that counts. We're going to talk about it, aren't we?
I am very fresh in the Saw franchise because I have watched them all, Fergus, in preparation for this.
I'm genuinely impressed. You know,
thank you. I have done every Saw movie in less than 2 weeks, and my brain is rotting.
I've seen them all, but like a while ago. But I watched 1 and 2 and X last year. So
okay.
You know, they're not completely out of my mind. And
you're going to be freshest on those ones, then I'm guessing.
Yeah, probably.
Sure.
You know what I'll do? I'll also peel out the Wikipedia for each film, just so I kind of can look at the traps and such. Like,
sure. Yeah.
Refresh. I can remember them all pretty well, to be fair.
But... Sure. I done a clever thing. I was big brain. I had a big brain moment.
Mm-hmm.
I put my favorite trap at the end of all my reviews. So
because I know you do that in the podcast.
On my Letterboxd reviews.
Yeah. I thought we were gonna do it on here.
Yeah.
Oh, you can do both. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So I could remember them.
Did you pick your least favorite trap?
No, my favorite trap.
Did you also pick your least favorite?
No, I didn't put my least, to be fair, but I did put my favorite.
Oh, we can come up on the spot. So yeah, I mean, we're talking about the Saw franchise. As much as it's one of my favorite franchises, as big fans will know. I really just could not be fucked rewatching these films. Like, I love them because they're dumb and stupid, and I I've been busy. I've been doing this fucking like watching one film for every day of the month challenge, like one horror film a day,
Yeah,
and that's already taken up a lot of time. And it has to be first watches, so I couldn't just do the Saw films as part of that.
sure.
So yeah, you know, I've seen them
Yeah,
all, so we're fine. We're fine.
like it's a franchise that has, and even though we're both big fans of the
Oh yeah,
franchise,
of course. Yeah.
I think we can both agree there's a lot of highs and there's a lot of real lows.
Yeah,
in
I
it.
mean, I think you could count the amount of good films in the franchise on like one finger, but they're all fun. You know,
I mean,
they're all very fun.
I disagree, but
Maybe two fingers at a push,
I
which is a
I
poster for Saw 2.
I've got hearts at 5 of them out of the 10.
Oh no, like they all get hearts, no doubt about that.
I mean,
but
but like genuinely, like I'd say 5 of them, maybe even 6.
I'd say there's like two, maybe three that are quite well made, and the other
Sure.
ones I like because they're stupid.
Oh,
Although
yeah.
there's one film I don't like, and we will get to that. There's actually two, but one I really dislike more than the other.
Okay. I'm
You know
excited
the one.
to. I know the one that we're both going to be real hating on.
Yeah.
I rewatched that today, and what a movie!
Unlucky.
But I'm guessing we'll just start with the first Saw movie. And,
Well, I think yeah, the first Saw movie,
yeah,
but
the
not the
Saw.
first feature-length Saw movie.
Dun dun dun.
What?
Saw
Yeah.
2003, or as you've just told me, Saw 0.5.
Yeah, but it's not called that in Letterboxd, so I'm confused about it.
I genuinely think it's just called Saw.
That
Not
must have
gonna
been like oh, John Kramer just emailed me.
What did you
Please
say?
read John Kramer, out of the country. Please read RE feet pics. Okay. Hello, thank you for reaching out. I'll be traveling out of the country for the next few days, so I may be slow to respond to any messages. Damn. Okay.
When the movie came out, there was a phone number attached. Like if it's urgent, phone this number, and then it was like, I want to play a game. Like on the other end of the phone, like go see my movie.
Oh wow. Self-aware. He never
Anyways,
responded to me when I said, John, I need your succulent feet.
yeah.
Oh well.
That's gonna, Fergus. You're taking your life in your hands here,
Dude,
man.
I was genuinely frightened you were like taking the piss and just gave me some random email.
No,
I was gonna go to some actual guy called John Kramer.
I'm gonna wake up tomorrow in a trap, dude.
Oh no. Oh, he's gonna cut off my feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think it's okay to ask people for feet pictures?
Well, no. And then he cuts him off.
Yeah, exactly.
So 0.5.
Saw 0.5. We just watched it.
Yeah, maybe it's a name that it was given like after effect, after like the first Saw came out.
That would make sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we just watched this. It's on YouTube if no one's seen it and they're interested. Because I didn't really know it existed until days ago.
Yeah, it's only 10 minutes long. Like it's not long at all, and it is basically just the reverse bear trap from the first Saw movie.
Yeah, it's like an extended scene.
Yeah,
with different actors.
Not even really extended. It's basically just the reverse bear trap scene.
Yeah.
Again.
Do we know the budget?
We don't know the budget, but I can find out for you.
Please do. And whilst you do that, I'm going to take a sip from this non-branded black can.
Yes, obviously.
I don't know what drink that could be.
$2,000.
$2,000. Genuinely pretty impressive for $2,000.
I'd agree. Apart from the CGI bathroom at the end that we got a good laugh out of.
Even for $2,000, that's pretty. What can you do?
It looked shit, Fergus.
I know it looked shit, right? But in 2003, on a $2,000 budget, it's not that bad.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm guessing like the cast must have all been like people that Leigh Whannell and James Wan knew then.
Must have been. It's not a big cast, to be fair.
No, it's like four people, I think.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's Leigh Whannell that stars in it, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, he's all right, I guess. He's okay.
Yeah, he's a strange actor.
Yeah.
even in the first Saw movie, he's definitely the weakest actor in the thing.
Yeah,
Um,
no, for sure.
but like randomly has moments where he's like really good, I feel. But even in that, like in the short film, most of his delivery was very like not great.
Living's overrated.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But then when he got the reverse bear trap off, and then that scream, I thought that scream was really good.
Yeah, and
I'm
I
like,
think he was able to convey like the kind of frantic
yeah,
nature of being in a Saw trap pretty well.
yeah, yeah. It's just even in like the first Saw film, he goes from like being quite good to hilariously bad
Yeah,
in terms
no.
of his performance.
He should have been in the reverse bear trap in the actual movie because we wouldn't have to listen to him that way.
That's true.
Yeah,
It should have actually went off, and then we wouldn't have to listen to him for the full
that
movie.
would have been nice. Yeah.
But I don't think I've got much else to say about the short film. Not gonna lie.
No, there's not really much to say about it other than the fact that it was basically what got the first Saw funded. I believe
Yeah,
I presumably they made this short film and then they're like, yeah, here's what we want to do, and I got a
yeah,
bigger budget to make a whole film out of it.
yeah,
But it's very bare bones in terms of plot. It's just this guy gets kidnapped and then
yeah,
put in the bear trap, and we don't really learn anything about the Jigsaw killer
yeah.
or his
Exactly.
motives really.
We forgot to mention that Billy has a little hat. Billy the puppet.
Billy the puppet makes his introduction into the pop culture zeitgeist, and yes, he's sporting a fedora.
Yes.
Wonderful, love it.
I think he should have kept it. Not gonna lie.
I think
That was
every
that was
Saw
hilarious.
film should have had Billy wearing a different silly hat. That would have been so good.
Like
He rocks
Saw
up
2,
with, like,
he's
a
got
cowboy hat.
a fez just.
Yeah, yeah. He's got, like, the
Uh,
Abraham Lincoln top hat.
yeah, I mean he's
That'd be
already quite silly because he rides that fucking trike.
Yeah. They
Like,
could have made him look younger by giving him a reverse baseball cap. That would have been pretty sick.
yeah, yeah. Well, we know how the Saw franchise loves to do
Yeah.
that.
Mhm. It's
Um,
a good trick. It's very convincing.
when we don't have budget to de-age people, we'll just get them in a reverse.
I
baseball.
love that. We need to do it more, honestly.
I love how Saw X didn't even like try to de-age him. Like they
No,
just,
no.
they just
He
didn't give
looks
a shit.
he looks ancient.
Yeah. Even like
Uh,
Amanda in that film, she looks so much older.
oh
I'm like,
yeah,
I
no.
like how they just don't care anymore.
You can suspend your disbelief though.
Oh, 100%, yeah. But I love how they tried to do it with previous films, and then
Yeah,
they just stopped caring
Saw X, he should have had the baseball cap, and
for,
Amanda as
for the
well.
film movie.
Yeah, the full film.
Oh, I would love to see in that post-credit scene, Detective Hoffman coming out with a reverse.
Yeah, that would have been cool as well. Actually, yeah. He
Um,
aged all right. He looks pretty.
Yeah, he
Similar.
looks the same. He looks the same. To
Mhm.
be fair. I guess we should say right now spoilers for the Saw franchise
Yeah, that's kind of a given. Yeah.
because every film, like the whole point of the Saw films, is there's a massive twist at the end of each movie.
Yeah.
And it goes do 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 do
Du-du-du-du-du-du-du-du.
do,
But
and it
like,
flashes back or
if we're
flashes
being
forward.
real, like, if we're being real, like,
Yeah.
most people go into Saw just wanting to watch for torture porn.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
So the
Um,
plot is so all over the place because it's kind of not really what we're interested in.
yeah, especially that kind of. I feel like the plot in the first two, verging on three, it's like they're caring slightly.
Yeah,
And in four, they just go full in. Like all people want to watch is people getting tortured. Like
yeah,
that's it.
no. But
Um,
just, I mean, they know what we want. But
Yeah.
having said that, I do really fucking adore their stupidly convoluted storyline.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we'll get into it. So, do you want to start with the first Saw movie?
Definitely would make
feature-length Saw
sense
movie?
to.
Yes, that'd be a good idea. So,
Good place to start.
what's your overall kind of thoughts on the first Saw film, Fergus?
It's one of the best ones, certainly. It's confidently made, which is good.
Yeah,
Again, as I say, there's not many of them, so
yeah,
that's a good start. In terms of how much I like it compared to other people, I think slightly less.
yeah.
I know a lot of people really love Saw,
Mhm.
and I think it's good, but
Me.
yeah, that's like some people would say Saw's their favorite movie, and I think that's a bit. I don't know. I couldn't go that far with it.
It's definitely not one of my favorite films.
Mm.
But I think it could be making an appearance in next week's episode
Yeah?
in my top 10 favorite horrors. Yeah,
Really?
it's just in terms of just how iconic it is for me. I'm just like, it needs to be there. It'll be low on my list, but it needs to be there for me, dude. Like,
Yeah.
I remember like watching this for the first time. Couldn't even
Mhm.
tell you what age it was. I think it was, I want to say like just before COVID, so about 2019.
Mhm.
I discovered it, and genuinely being a bit blown away by it. I hadn't
Mhm.
really like, I'd heard about them in the sense of, oh, it's all it is torture, and like only sadistic people watch it and like
Mhm.
don't check it out. It's like everyone kind of talks about it as being like the bad horror franchise.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I watched the first one, and I was genuinely taken aback with how much I enjoyed it. And I
Yeah.
was like, what the hell? This is a good movie. This is great.
Yeah. I think that's an interesting point as well, because it has the Saw films deservedly perhaps have the torture porn reputation
Yeah.
that it's just extreme gore.
Yeah.
And I think that's more like Terrifier than Saw. At
Yeah.
least the first Saw film.
100%. There
The
isn't
first
actually a lot of gore in the first Saw.
No. Because even the reverse bear trap, which is a really brutal trap, doesn't actually activate in the first
Yeah.
Saw film.
Yeah.
So, like, if that went off, then sure. But otherwise, I mean, there's a guy crawling around in barbed wire
Yeah.
and a guy cutting his foot off, and that's about as intense as it gets, really.
Even like things like in the reverse bear trap scene, you never see Amanda actually like cut the guy open. It's just
No,
kind
it's
of
just her, like,
implied.
yeah, looking up at him, or looking up at her, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you see her arm come down, but you never actually
Yeah.
see the impact. And I'm like, Saw 4 would be 100% showing you that. Like,
Yeah, no, you'd be rummaging around in there.
yeah, 100%. So it is interesting seeing how it began
Mhm.
almost. And maybe they wanted to do more and just didn't have the budget. Like that's
Yeah.
always a factor, but it's more of a, I guess, psychological kind of horror than an
Mhm.
actual torture porn movie,
Yeah,
I'd say.
and so much of it is, like, a police drama as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll get into that later. Kind of every one
Yeah,
of them's
no.
got like a detective sort of story going on.
But in the first Saw, it is really prevalent, and
Oh, yeah.
it's what drives the plot forward. So, well, I mean, yeah, same with all of them, really. But you know what I mean. Like, it's a real focus.
Yeah, and it's actually done pretty well.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Again, it's competent.
yeah, it's actually with every other Saw movie, basically, all the detective stuff. I'm like, get this off. Like,
Yeah, no one
I'm
wants to watch this shit.
bored. Whereas in the first Saw film, I'm like, oh, this is actually fairly interesting.
Yeah, and I think maybe that's because, like, in the first Saw film, we don't know anything about the Jigsaw Killer.
Yeah,
We're trying to work out his motives and who he is with Danny Glover.
yeah,
But afterwards, it's just the police trying to catch Jigsaw, and I think it's less interesting because 'cause we're dumbasses.
yeah.
So
I also think like in terms of my first time watching it,
mhm,
I knew nothing about the franchise. I had no like preconceived notion on who Jigsaw was, what he looked
mhm,
like. So the twist got me
mhm.
like a a lot, and I guess Saws became like so embedded in pop culture these days. Everyone knows what Jigsaw looks like.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
I guess if people watched it today, they wouldn't really be taken aback by the twist
mhm.
to the same extent. But I genuinely think it's one of the best twists. I
It's a
love
really
it.
good twist. I mean, when I first watched it, I knew Jigsaw was like an old man, and
Mm,
so when you see Dr. Gordon, right? Yeah,
yeah,
Lawrence Gordon. Dr. Gordon, like, treating John Kramer earlier in the film.
yeah,
You're, "Okay, no, well, there he is. That's what he looks like. I know that's Jigsaw." But
yeah, yeah,
I never really put together he was the guy in the middle of the bathroom that seemed to have killed himself. I don't think I
yeah,
put that together.
yeah.
So
Well,
it's a
I
genuinely shocking moment when he stands up.
oh yeah, I would say it's one of my like in terms of like movie watching experiences. I remember being shocked, like
Mhm,
genuinely jaw on the floor,
mhm.
like as soon as he stood up from that bathroom, being like,
Yeah, it's
"What the
mental, isn't it?
fuck?" And the music, man, like the
Mhm.
music just accompanies that scene so well.
What is it, Zepp's theme?
Zepp's theme, yeah,
Brilliant. It's a brilliant score. I love it.
100%. And yeah, I can definitely see problems with it. Like
Oh yeah.
a lot more now than I did like when I first watched it.
Mhm.
It's very. I don't want to say the word. Maybe I will say it campy in a way. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's got a style to it that shouldn't really work and is a bit like
Yeah.
off-putting.
I think it's a little schlocky
Yeah,
in all ways, but it's still pretty entertaining. It's not really as like nonsensical as the other ones. It's actually like serious and takes itself seriously, which I appreciate.
yeah. I agree. It's personally my favorite in the franchise by
Ooh.
probably a good deal.
I think I'd say top three.
Yeah, sure.
It's definitely because again, it's well made and
Yeah,
takes itself seriously and enjoyable to watch.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
Whereas a lot of the other films, I think, have a couple scenes that are really enjoyable to watch. But if
Yeah,
you added them all together, it'd be like 10 minutes of
yeah.
good content.
I will say another thing about the first Saw film is I don't think people give it enough credit for how genuinely scary it is.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it is
agreed.
like I'd say the rest of the franchise is pretty not scary. Like
Yeah.
I can't think of another single scene where I was like genuinely scared. It's fun to watch, like the traps and
Mhm.
stuff. But like see the scene in the apartment in Saw when
Yeah,
he's like
that is a
clicking the
brilliant
camera.
scene. Yeah.
It's so clever, man. And
Mhm.
that jump scare is excellently
Yeah.
executed. It
Yeah.
is so good.
I hate to give it to a jump scare, but
Yeah.
yeah, I gotta give it to a jump scare. It's good. It's a good scene.
Yeah,
It's
for
just
sure.
I keep saying, but it's so competent compared to the other ones. The
Yeah.
fact that you don't get another Saw movie like that well made and with
Yeah.
that much care put into it until like 9 movies later with Saw
Yeah.
X is
Yep.
incredible. Even though I love like Saw 6, for example, I'll say it now, it's probably my favorite of the bunch.
Yep.
I love that film because of how stupid it is, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't love it because it's a really well-made movie, but it's got
Yeah.
effort behind it, and it doesn't take itself seriously enough. So
I'll say this about like the full franchise bar maybe a couple of films.
mhm.
Every single one of them has a great deal of heart put into it. Like you can
Yeah.
tell the filmmakers like are trying their best to make a good movie.
Yeah, because
And
they know what the fans want as well.
exactly, they're trying to appease the audience that they've created. Like,
Yeah.
and I guess that's to be commended.
Yeah,
Um,
I appreciate that.
I'd actually say the only film in the full franchise that has like no sense of heart put into it is Spiral,
Oh,
which
definitely Spiral.
we'll get to, but
No, maybe we shouldn't. Can
maybe
we
we
just
should.
not?
Um, but yeah, I really do love the first Saw.
Mhm.
Like you said, it's like the only one that's had a clear, proper vision behind it, and
Yeah.
it executed it well.
Yeah, and I think, it's interesting as well, it's kinda with a lot of franchises, what happens to Saw, say something like Nightmare on Elm Street, where the
Yeah,
first film is genuinely quite scary
yeah,
and creepy and all this, and then by the time you get to, like, 4 films in, he's just turning people into bugs and, like, stuffing mashed potatoes into their face, and it's like, "Well, that's fun to watch, but it's not scary," you know? Like, I'm not
yeah,
scared of this guy. Like, he's just a
yeah.
goofball.
I'm actually sitting here trying to think of a franchise in which the rest of it, like a horror franchise in which the rest of it is consistently scary.
Mhm.
I can't really think of one
No,
just off the top
no,
of my head.
I'm drawing a blank as
I
well, to be
was
honest.
going to say Scream, but Scream's never been
No,
consistently
no,
scary.
no.
Like I think my head just going to it is because it's consistent, like in its tone throughout
Sure.
like the full franchise. But the first one's not overly terrifying.
Mm.
So yeah, I can't really think of it. And like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like goes in completely the opposite
Literally the
direction.
next film
Yeah,
in the series is the exact opposite of the first.
yeah,
In the
for
best way
sure.
possible, by the way.
Oh yeah, second
Love
one's
it.
great. But yeah, I do think a lot of people don't give the first Saw, especially with the. Well, I'm maybe thinking of this with a kind of old-fashioned viewpoint on the franchise because in my head, people don't like it.
Mhm.
Like it's famously like in my head the bad horror franchise,
Mhm.
but I feel like it's had a bit of a I don't know. It's kind of renaissance in a way with
Yeah,
Saw X.
I think a lot of people would say the bad horror franchise is maybe something like The Conjuring, perhaps.
Yeah,
I don't think it's Saw anymore. I think people appreciate Saw more for what it is.
yeah, for sure. Because I remember when Saw X came out, like compared to like Spiral. When Spiral came out, I remember no one giving a shit and being like, "Oh,
Yeah.
they're not making another Saw movie,
Sure,
are
yeah.
they?" And I remember Saw X came out, and people were suddenly really excited for it,
Mhm.
which just it surprised me then, and it kind of still surprises me now. And the fact that we're getting like Saw 11 and people are hyped, like
Yeah, I genuinely think it might have something to do with the fact that it was Tobin Bell returning for a full film.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
we've not really spoken about him yet, because he's not really in the first one all that much. But he is
yeah.
phenomenal in these films as Jigsaw.
He's probably the only consistent actor, like appears in multiple movies that
Mhm.
really cares about giving a good performance, I
Mhm.
think.
And he seems like such a nice guy as well. Everyone that's met Tobin Bell says he's a really lovely guy, and I think it's so cool that he's like the face of the franchise, and he really cares about the fans, and
Yeah,
putting in as much effort as he can
he
to
does
make
seem like
something that the
a
fans will
really
enjoy.
he seems like a really cool guy, to be fair.
Yeah, yeah.
I'd genuinely love to meet him.
Mhm.
Feel like I'd be a bit scared meeting him, but
Yeah, I'd just go up to him with, like, the backwards baseball cap. "Yo, what's up, Tobin? Yeah,
can you sign my
can you
book?
sign my book?"
But yeah, I really do love the first show. I don't know if you want to rate these out of 10.
I can I've got a Saw ranking on my letterbox link in bio. So I'll pull that up, and, I should be able to see my ratings from there. Just opened
Okay.
up my emails to John, "I need your succulent feet." Oops.
I'll say, and I think in retrospect, this is probably a bit of a high rating.
Mhm.
Um, but I don't think I could change it. I'd give it a 4.5 out of 5. I really adore Saw.
You're not gonna like this.
Yeah, I know you've got it lowish.
3.
3.
Yeah,
Three
I know.
three's low, dude.
I think it's fine. It's a good film.
Yeah,
That's all I really think about it. I like it.
sure.
I
Have you
know
got
I don't even know if I'd give it a heart because re
really?
it's not as rewatchable as, like, some of the silly ones, you know?
I've seen it so many times.
Well, that's you, Jack.
I genuinely must have seen it about 10 times.
Really? X
Yep.
times?
X times, yeah.
Wow.
Exactly.
I don't like that it's called Saw
Um,
X. The reason being that it implies that Spiral is the ninth Saw, when we all know that movie never even came out.
yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
I guess they just wanted to use the title Saw X
It's like
because
how iPhone skipped the ninth
yeah,
iPhone and went to
exactly.
the iPhone X.
Exactly. Um, I will say, I'm just random comment, right? I
Mhm.
thought up this great idea for
Mhm.
Saw X, and I'm like, this would be so cool, right? If they'd done
Mhm.
it this way. See how it's like the first kind of I want to say half an hour is like no really any traps.
Yeah.
It's kind of him going to this clinic and getting his operation, whatever.
Mhm.
And then there's the moment where he finds out that it's been a con.
Yeah.
And there's that beautiful shot, that kind of dolly zoom where the kind of background kind of closes in on him in a way.
Sure.
And then it cuts. That would be awesome if the title appeared there.
Yeah, you're probably right.
How
That's a
sick!
great bit to drop it. Yeah.
How sick would that be? It would have been a long opening, like half an
Mhm.
hour, but that would have been so like Jigsaw's back, Saw
Yeah,
X,
because
like
that's the moment where, like, a switch flips in his mind, and
yeah,
suddenly I have to kill these people.
yeah, exactly. I was just thinking that the day, and I mentioned it because, as I told you, Fergus, people at home won't know this, but I watched Saw X with my grandparents today.
Who seem to be big fans.
Granddad's a fan of the franchise. To be fair, he's
Mhm.
seen them all apart from Spiral.
Mhm.
Because I asked him today, so he said the last one he saw was the one with that
So
stupid laser scene, and I was like, okay,
oh, yeah,
that's
yeah.
Jigsaw.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
And I was like, "You'll like this one," and he was like, "Okay, that's probably one of the better ones." And
Mhm.
it was Gran's first Saw film,
and she gave it X out of X.
She gave it 10 out of 10.
Brilliant.
Which, I mean, Gran likes everything. Like, I don't think I could take Cats up and be like, "Oh, I love this movie, Gran."
Don't push it.
But genuinely, I could be like, "Oh, I love this movie," and just to please me, she'll give it a 10 out of 10.
I don't know. She must be a Saw fan now. We're gonna have to get her into all the other ones.
Yeah, I don't think I can do another rewatch anytime soon.
I'll do it.
Yeah, go for it, Fergus.
I'll watch all the Saw films with your grandparents.
Do you have a favorite trap from the first Saw film?
Yeah, of course I do. I'll think about it though. Just give me a second. So I guess what's interesting as well about the first Saw film, and I know we're trying to kind of close this up and go to the next one, but I think it is interesting that the plot of the film is this trap where it's just these guys locked in the bathroom, whereas other Saw films, the trap plot line will be someone going from trap to trap, and that's kind of their journey.
Yeah, I think I said this to you in another podcast episode, but I've always think it's hilarious how Jigsaw gives a shit about some people and then doesn't care about other people. Like, he creates this big elaborate bathroom scenario for these guys, and then there's just like a guy who's like, walk about with this candle and you're covered in flammable jelly. Like,
yeah, favoritism.
Yeah, literally.
What is
though.
That? What's with that, Jigsaw?
I would say I'm going to discount. Is it fair to discount the bathroom trap? I just feel like it's not really a trap to a certain extent.
I guess none of them are really traps. It's not like we fall into them. They're just gonna wake up and they're in these torture devices.
I think I'd have to go reverse bear trap. It's very iconic. It's such an iconic scene. And it's like
a recurring trap as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say almost like the poster child trap.
Yeah. When you think of a Saw trap, you're thinking of reverse bear trap immediately.
Yeah, for sure.
I genuinely don't know what would even come close, really. It's just iconic.
And did you say we're going to do least favorite traps as well?
Yeah, I think I'm going to agree with you on the bear trap. Okay. I'm going to tell you my least favorite one right now. That fucking candle bullshit.
Yeah, I think I agree.
Pisses me off. Genuinely fucking angers me. What a fucking bullshit trap. If I woke up in that, I would be genuinely furious that I didn't get the bear trap.
Yeah, it is. It's a difficult one to get out of for sure.
Hello, so you're all slimy in that, covered in this flammable shit, and you've got to hold the torch. You have to hold a candle to the walls where there's numbers, and it's all sorts of numbers, so you'll never know what the combination is. And if you even fuck it up even slightly, you're just gonna get set on fire and die.
Yep.
That's bullshit. What are you even meant to do? I don't think this guy could have escaped.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think that is the worst trap by far.
Yeah, no, you'd have to be specialized in it to get out of that.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
You'd have to train. I don't think Houdini could get out of that.
Yeah.
I hate it. I think it's genuine bullshit.
I agree. That is probably the one scene in the movie where I'm like, that is stupid. Like,
what's that guy even do to get put into it as well? It wasn't even much. Was it not like, was he one that didn't go into work because he had depression or whatever, or was that the barbed wire guy?
I can't actually remember. I can't remember. I think maybe the barbed wire guy is the guy who doesn't go into work because he's like, he slit his wrist for attention or something. Is that not? And then he's like in the barbed wire.
I think he was depressed though. I don't think Jigsaw's very nice in the first one.
Sure, yeah, he's a cold-hearted bastard for a lot of them. Like,
he is honestly, but like the victims he chooses in the first one is very mean.
Yeah,
like you'll go from seeing like neo-Nazis getting ripped apart to just
literally though
some guy who didn't go into work because he had depression.
Yeah,
or smoker.
Yeah, exactly. Hello, everyone. So I don't know if you can tell. The more observant people out there will be able to tell. It's no longer the same day.
The set's changed and everything.
Yeah, the set has changed. We've got a epic Paddington in Peru poster out.
Yeah, we got Smile.
Smile, nice.
And you can see Harold in the purple crayon up there.
Nice.
My favorite.
That doesn't look right surrounded by challengers and kinds of kindness.
I know. Worst films of the year compared to the best.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we did say at the start of the previous recording that there might be technical difficulties.
Hmm.
There were a lot of technical
Yeah,
difficulties,
I mean, we've got like an hour of unusable footage, but
pretty much. Um,
um,
yeah, the cameras just started acting weird, and then your internet wasn't working, and then
yeah,
we tried to record again, and then couldn't record for laughing.
yeah, it was, it was rough.
Yeah, it was a rough time. So we decided to just come back on a fresh day, which so
Yeah,
happened to be a week later, and continue talking about the Saw franchise.
we're just hoping that we've kind of wrapped up in the first one.
Yeah, I think we did. But we spoke about the first one for ages,
Yeah,
so
way too long.
um,
Let's just wrap it up right now. You like Saw?
I love Saw.
Me too. I like Saw.
Excellent. Okay,
All right,
Saw
Saw
2.
2.
Do you want to start talking about Saw 2? Because I know you're not huge on it. Is that right?
Um, I like it more than I used to.
Okay.
I used to have it like right down at the bottom of my ranking, but
Yep.
since rewatching it, I've come to like it a bit more.
Okay.
Yeah,
Um.
I used to think like it kind of takes itself a bit too seriously for what it is. It's kind of the bridge, I think, in between a serious first Saw
Yeah.
film into like nonsense sequels.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's not fully there yet.
Yep.
But I still think it's very good. I like the trap plot in this one, that they're all stuck in the house.
Yeah, I think the trap plot is. I genuinely think it is one of the best in
Mhm,
the franchise. I really like kind of like it's like a trap house like
mhm.
setup almost. But it's like almost like in an escape room, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
exactly.
they're going from like room to room rather than the first one. They're stuck in like one room. It's still the kind of obvious place to take the franchise, and I do think they
Yeah.
do it quite well.
Yeah, and I think if you'd never seen a Saw film before, I think
Hmm.
Saw 2 is kind of the idea of what a Saw film would look like that you'd have in your head, potentially being
Yeah.
trapped in a house and having to
Yeah.
go through all these different traps.
Yeah, for sure. Because we said in I was going to say the last episode, the last time we recorded,
Yeah.
literally
Earlier in the episode for everyone
two
else.
minutes ago for these people at home, but
Yeah, yeah.
we kind of said that Saw One, whilst it is a great film, I think it's fantastic. It's not
Mhm.
kind of what you expect, I guess. Kind of
No.
like the kind of stereotype of a Saw film. It kind of is a bit more basic than that.
Yeah. Yeah, it has its violent moments, but it's
Yeah,
nowhere near, like, the really extravagant traps that you get later on.
yeah, for sure, for sure. In terms of what I think of Saw Two, I used to love it. Like I used to
Mhm,
think it was probably the second best in the franchise.
mhm,
Um, this time when I watched it, I found a lot more wrong with it.
mhm,
There is quite a bit wrong with this movie. As you said, I love the
mhm.
everything that goes on in the house is like I'm like invested. This is good. See, whenever it flips back to the detective stuff, I
Yeah.
couldn't be more less interested in it.
No, I'm with you on that. I think that's, like, every Saw film, to be fair.
Pretty much, yeah. It just slowly gets worse throughout
Mhm.
the franchise until they eventually made a film focused on the detective, which is the worst one in the
Yeah.
franchise.
And also why
Um,
Saw X is one of the best ones because there's no detective
literally,
shit
yeah.
in that.
They actually put time into like crafting a plot out with just doing boring detective stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I just noticed just a lot more wrong with it. Like
Mhm,
in my head before watching it, it wasn't a perfect film, but it was definitely a great sequel, like a worthy
mhm.
kind of follow up in my head. But in terms of like comparing one and two now, I think one is leagues better
Oh,
than
yeah,
two.
for sure, for sure.
Yep.
I don't know if it's, like, as far apart as it was before. I think we are closer together now in my estimations, but yeah, no, I still Saw's definitely better.
Yeah.
But Saw 2 is not a bad follow-up by any means.
Yeah, for sure. I another thing I found rewatching it is it's a slow film for like
Yeah.
it's like 10 or 15 minutes shorter than the first Saw movie, and it feels
Mhm,
so much longer. And I
mhm,
think that is because just the detective stuff is so uninteresting. And I like Tobin Bell. You get to see a lot more of him in this movie,
mhm.
and I think he gives a fantastic performance. But I don't think Detective Matthews is overly interesting.
No. I couldn't even tell you that was his name, I just know him as Donnie Wahlberg. So
Yeah, I've literally got Detective Matthews written in my review. That's the only reason I can remember his name.
fair enough. Yeah.
But yeah, Donnie Wahlberg is not the most interesting of
No, no.
characters. I don't think. I don't think a lot of the characters are that
Well,
interesting.
yeah, I was gonna say that. I think that's what sets it apart from the first one. The first one, you're really invested in Adam and Dr. Gordon and how they're
Yep.
gonna get out of their situation. They're
Yep.
interesting characters. I don't really feel that with this one, to be honest. Outside of Jigsaw, I don't really care about anyone in it.
Yeah, I like the whole and the Saw films kind of do this a couple of times. And you think it would start getting old quickly, but I actually think it's quite a good idea how all these characters are connected in some way,
Yeah, her web
and
connects
like
them all.
yeah, her web connects them all, and you slowly like find out more as the movie goes on about how they are actually connected.
Yeah, because these people were all like criminally convicted by Donnie Wahlberg, right? That's
Yes.
what links all of them.
Yep.
Okay.
Except his son.
Oh
I don't
yeah,
think
well,
he's actually
yeah,
criminally convicted by, but I think he's like been bailed out by him or something.
yeah, I think that's right.
Um,
All wrongfully convicted, I think, or something like that.
I think there's maybe a couple in there that are. I can't actually remember. I think there might be a couple that because there's some really bad people in the
Yeah,
film.
what's that
Like
one guy that just mucks about and kills everyone?
yeah,
Just goes mental by the end.
I can't remember the character's name, but I don't really like him that much in it.
No,
His actor name is Frankie G.
Frankie G.
If you've got a last name just as an initial, you're probably not a great actor.
Oh no, come on! I'm sure there's like one or two out there.
Sure, probably.
I
But
can't
yeah,
name any, but
just I think the only characters I'm like properly invested in is Jigsaw.
mm,
It's really interesting finding out more about him and the way his brain
yeah,
works. And Amanda is it's interesting that she's kind of been in two traps now. She's kind of what almost links the first film and the second film out
her
with
web
Jigsaw.
connects them both.
Her web connects the films, yeah.
It never gets old. Uh, yeah, no, I agree. I'm never really fully invested in Amanda, but I do think it's quite an interesting concept to have someone
Yeah,
go from being in the traps to being an assistant. And I guess they
sure.
try and do the same thing with Dr. Gordon in Saw 3D,
Yep.
but that was a bit of a failure if you ask me, to be honest.
Sure. Well, I mean, we'll get to that, but yeah. Um, I do enjoy the twist in this one. Quite a bit.
Which
And I
one?
know, I, yeah, that's true. The hey, your son is in a safe
A safe
place.
place. Okay.
Yep. And he's actually in a safe.
Oh, lol. Good one, Jigsaw.
It's. I know you said that you watched it with your parents, right? And they were like,
Yeah.
"Oh, he's in the safe. Then that's
Mhm.
pretty obvious." I can't remember getting it like first time, like
Oh.
fully like being like, "Oh, that's obvious where he is." But on a rewatch, I'm like, it is so bleeding obvious.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
no, they really want you to know he's in a safe place.
yep, he
It's
says it like
mental.
3 times in the movie.
Mhm.
Your son is in a safe and secure manner.
Yeah.
Um, but it is I think it is a clever twist, and the whole like
Hmm.
the trap that you're watching is took place at an earlier time.
Mhm.
You think just by, and I quite like it when movies do this. I watched The Sixth Sense for the first time the other day, and I was talking about this how your brain automatically starts like making assumptions when you're watching a movie,
Yeah.
like in Sixth Sense, for example, like I don't want to spoil that film, right? But
Mhm.
Bruce Willis is sitting with the mum, and you
Yeah.
assume that they've had a conversation off camera.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Your head just immediately starts putting that together. It's the same in this one. You automatically start going, "Oh, this trap must be taking place
Yeah.
at the same time um, this conversation's taking place." And I think
Mhm.
it's a very clever way of doing that.
Yeah, and I like the idea as well that he's got the footage of a trap which happened the day before, and he's
Yeah,
playing that as if it's happening in real time.
yeah, yeah.
I think that's pretty cool.
It is quite clever. It's a clever film. But yeah, I just found quite a few more problems with it. Things
Yeah.
that I probably overlooked in the past, and it's probably the worst viewing experience I've ever had of the movie. But
Oh.
yeah, it's not went down properly in my estimations, but I don't think it is as good as I once did.
Okay. That's fair enough.
What do you think of the traps in this film?
They're pretty decent.
Yep.
It opens on the Venus flytrap, which is pretty iconic.
I really like the Venus
Yeah.
flytrap.
Yeah.
There was
It's a
there was
very
a
good trap.
time. I honestly think there was a time I would have liked it. I think I liked it more than the reverse bear trap.
Really?
Yeah, I really, and I also like how you actually saw it work. Like the reverse bear trap, you
Yeah.
don't see work until 7. Is that right?
That's right, yeah.
So it was actually cool actually seeing a trap like that actually go off because
Yeah,
the only
it's
trap.
kinda the opposite of the bear trap,
Yeah, yeah,
which is
exactly.
interesting.
The only trap you actually properly see go off in the first film, like you have little snippets of traps,
Mhm.
is Dr. Gordon cutting his foot off.
Yeah.
Like you don't the reverse bear trap's in a very iconic scene, but you don't actually see it happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was nice to actually see that. So I really like the Venus flytrap. I think it's an excellent
Mhm.
trap. Good way to open the movie.
Agreed. Other trap that I like is the needle pit as well.
Needle pit's my favorite trap in the movie, I think.
That really gets me.
Yeah, that's
I
not
already hate needles.
Yep, and it's the way that guy picks Amanda up and throws
Yeah.
her in as well.
Yeah.
I'm like, mate, and the way she just
Horrible.
kind of she sits there and they're all like shouting at her to do stuff,
Mhm.
and then she's like, "Give me a minute," and then she just like fucking embraces it and just starts throwing the
Ugh.
needles about. I'm like,
Ugh.
it looks so painful,
I couldn't do that.
and they're all like dirty needles as well.
Yeah, it's horrible, yeah.
I would say the needle pit is probably. There was a time where Venus flytrap would have definitely been my favorite trap,
Mhm.
but I think needle pit is probably my favorite one now.
Yeah, because I think Venus flytrap is something you kinda get used to as the films go on, is in terms of being this, like, big mechanical device
Yeah,
that
yeah,
rips you
for
open.
sure.
The needle pit is just fucking it's horrible on a different
Yeah, I
level, I
really
think.
like the simple ones. Like
Yeah.
it's literally just a pit full of needles, and you've got to find is it a key or something.
It's
It's
not the
it's
antidote
like
to
it's
the
like finding a needle in a haystack.
Yeah, yeah. It's like the antidote or something for the
Yes,
pathogen in
something
the
like that. But I'm
house.
sure there's like a door going to be locked or something.
Something like that.
There's like a
I think
countdown or I
yeah,
can't
it's like the
remember.
door to the house will lock and then they can't get
Yeah,
out
something like that.
because there's the poison.
Oh yeah, they're breathing in. You're breathing in a slow reacting poison. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I also like I don't know if "like's" the right word. It makes me cringe. The one where she puts her hands in the box.
I was gonna mention that. That's disgusting.
Is it the razor trap or something like that?
Yeah.
That's not fun.
No, I really hate that one.
Um,
I can't watch that one.
it kind of annoys me a little bit how idiotic she is. Like she
Yeah.
puts one hand in, feels the pain, and then goes, "Oh, I know what I'll do. I'll put my other hand in the other
Yeah.
hole."
A
I'm
lot
like,
of a
put your
lot of
hand
people
against and push, man. Like,
a lot of people in the Saw films don't really think.
yeah,
Which
um,
I suppose it'd be hard to think critically in that kind of situation if you woke
yeah,
up in that.
for
But
sure, for
I
sure.
mean, it's still kind of frustrating to watch.
Yeah, defo. But it's a good trap. It's
Mhm.
violent.
Makes me wince.
Yeah, for sure. It's not nice. And the way she's just like kind of hanging there, like bleeding out,
Yeah.
is not fun.
At
Um,
least the guy doesn't kill her, but when he sees the number on her neck, he just kinda leaves her leaves
yeah,
her
I
there,
mean,
so
killing her probably be the nice thing to do.
yeah, that's a good
Cut
point,
her
to be
down.
fair, yeah.
He kills all the people that didn't deserve it, and
Yeah.
then do you have a least favorite trap? I mean, I can only think of one trap that we've not fully mentioned.
I've got 2 written down for least favorite,
Okay,
and both because they're entirely preventable. There's a
yeah,
furnace one.
the furnace one I hate. I
Yeah.
despise the furnace trap. It's so stupid.
Let me just crawl into the furnace and see what's going on in there.
"You have burned people with your lies." I'm like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen here. Like,
Hmm. Yeah,
what's your
not
other
big in
one?
the furnace. I've got the gun people written down as well because again,
Oh, sure.
preventable.
Yeah, I
There's
don't.
like a notice saying like don't open the door or whatever.
Yeah, and that's the first thing they do is
Yeah,
open the
and you
door.
look through
Like,
people as well.
yeah. I don't mind that one as much, but the
Mhm.
furnace trap frustrates me.
Yeah.
Um, it's just so annoying, and I'm pretty sure he gets one antidote like for nothing, and
Yeah,
there's
pretty
another one
much.
that's like hanging on a different chain, and he's like, "Oh,
Mhm.
let me just pull this chain then, shall I?"
Yeah, exactly.
And then the door slams shut, and yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I would agree. Needle Pit's my favorite, and
Mhm.
Furnace Trap's my least favorite of that film.
And all the other ones are kinda good. They're all good. Except
Yeah,
for the people as well.
yeah, I don't mind the people. I can see how it's pretty dumb. Like
Yeah.
the way that he looks through the people as he's turning the key is
Mhm.
pretty forced. Like
Yeah.
you could nobody would open a door like
No, especially in when you wake up in that situation.
exactly. Um, but yeah, it doesn't bother me that much.
There's actually another trap like that we'll talk about in a minute with Saw 3 that pisses me off as well. So
Okay.
we'll talk about that, I guess. I guess now would just be a good time to segue into Saw 3, but
Well,
you got any closing remarks on Saw 2?
I was
Or
just gonna ask what your score out of 5 is for Saw 2.
I've got a 2. But, like
2.
yeah, but 2 and a heart, because 2 and a heart means I've rewatched it.
Sure, okay.
So
I've got a 3.5.
really,
Yeah.
I can see
I know
that.
I know I
I
just kind of sat and moaned about it for a little bit,
Yeah.
but it is like, whenever it's in the house, I'm, like, having a good time. This is a
Mhm,
good movie. And then the detective stuff isn't that great, which is, as you said, the same for all the Saw movies.
mhm. I'm actually shocked out of it too. I'm putting up to 2.5 because in my mind it's
Yes!
2.5.
We've increased it.
There we go. So, my
Um,
apologies about that, Jack.
that's okay. Okay, do you want to move on, segue on to Saw 3?
Yeah, Suffrey. Oh, I've got this one at 2 as well. I'm an
Oh.
idiot. Sorry. Let me just amend that. Okay, there we go. Yeah, Suffrey is one of my favorite ones.
Is it?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
top 4.
Okay, okay.
I'm a
I
fan
can
of
see that.
Suffrey.
I can see that. It's a good film. I like Saw 3.
I'm
Um,
looking at the poster and I'm confused about the teeth. I don't remember there being a
oh,
teeth trap
I
in
don't
the
think
film.
there is.
There's no teeth until Saw 7.
Um, yeah, that's true. Um,
Man, know it
yeah,
took them that long to get to a teeth trap, by the way. That seems like an
yeah.
obvious one to go for.
I was saying right. I was saying this to Alexander from uni.
Uh,
We were talking
Goat.
about the Saw films, right?
Mhm.
Why have they not exploited the most painful thing known to a man? Why have they not done a ball torture trap?
I that might be a bit much. I don't know if I could watch that.
It's such an obvious thing to do in my head. I'm like, it's it's the thing that would cause a man the most pain.
Yeah. Yeah, you got a point. I
Like,
can see, like, a
I'm getting
cartoonish
Jigsaw's
trap.
probably saving it. Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
That it'd be quite funny,
Jigsaw's maybe
like
saving it for a really bad guy. Like,
yeah.
that'd be good for like, I don't know, like a rapist or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, just smash
Yeah,
his
that's a good
balls in
point.
like a
Yeah.
hydraulic press or something. I don't know.
I think it'd be funny if they, like, pulled a chain or something and then, like, a boot comes down, like, a stick and just kicks him in the balls.
um. Anyway, Saw 3.
Yeah, Suffrey, sorry.
Um.
Yeah, this is, like I said, it's one of my favorites. I think just because I really like the traps in this one.
Yeah. You know what? I like the traps. I
Mhm.
They're probably one of the like movies with the least memorable traps for me.
Really?
They're all good. Like, I like them all, but
Mhm.
I always leave the movie and I'm like, oh, what were the traps in that film? Like, I remember the rack and then like nothing else.
I'm the opposite. I love all the traps in this film. All got a special place in my heart.
Sure,
Big
sure.
fan of each and every trap. I actually could really struggle to pick a least favorite from it, but I'll tell you now because it's at the
Mm,
start of the film.
mm.
It's when the guy's like all chained up in the school, and there's like the bomb, and then he has
Yeah,
to do this impossible shit where he has to like take his
yeah,
jaw out and all that, only for the door to be sealed shut
Locked.
anyway. Which I
It's
know
an
is because it's Amanda, and
yeah, it's an
she,
unwinnable one, yeah.
yeah, because she was kind of going against Jigsaw's
Yep.
whole pathology thing
Um,
of, give people a chance. She just wants to kill people, but
seeing as you're saying your least favorite, I might as well say my least favorite now.
mhm.
That ice trap, the one in the
Oh,
room,
it's rough, isn't it?
I, it's not my cup of tea.
No, that's fair
Um,
enough.
it's just, it seems, I don't know what it is about it. It's just, I know they're meant to be uncomfortable, but that something
Mhm.
just gets under my skin with that one a little bit,
Yeah.
and I'm like, it's just not nice. Like the saw traps need to be almost like fun to watch as
Yeah.
well as being like brutal. That one's
Yeah.
just not an enjoyable watch for me. So
No, that's fair enough. Yeah, I get that. It's yeah, the fact that she's, like, naked as well.
yeah,
Oh,
it's
that's
just
really horrible.
it's not nice. However, I will say
Mhm.
if I'm allowed to do the whole brain operation sequence, that
Oh.
shit is my least favorite thing in the movie.
Yeah, I'm not huge on that whole plot line, to be honest.
I don't mind the whole concept of this nurse trying to keep a patient alive. If he flatlines, she will die.
Yeah.
Is interesting, but the brain operation sequence is there for shock factor and shock factor only,
Pretty much.
and it's not nice. It's not enjoyable to watch at
I
all. It
mean,
is
that's
horrible.
kinda every Saw trap.
Yeah, but as I said, they're enjoyable to watch.
Yeah,
This
that's
is
true.
just horrible. Like you're
It
watching brain surgery.
it's actually interesting you mention that because there's an ice trap later in the series that is better than the one in Saw 3, and there's a brain surgery, I guess, trap
Yeah,
later in the series that's better than the one in Saw 3.
yeah, that is true.
It's like it was just,
Um,
like, laying down the foundation for them to come.
Yeah. Overall, I do enjoy Saw 3.
Mhm.
It used to go my franchise ranking when I like originally like had it in like my letterbox before rewatching them all. It was the original, then 2, and then I think it was either 6 or 3.
Mhm.
And I remember those ones being kind of on a parallel kind of place for me.
Mhm.
Um, but I would actually say it's maybe as good as 2 on a
Yeah,
rewatch for me.
I agree.
It used to be like Saw 2, and then there's like other films below it, if that makes
Mhm.
sense. Whereas this time I'm like that is a good film. Like that
Mhm.
is on level with Saw 2 for me.
Mhm. No,
I like
yeah,
I
I'm
really
kinda
like
with
all
you
the
on that.
stuff they do with Jeff. That's probably like the most interesting stuff.
Slowest motherfucking Jeff.
Yeah.
Yeah. He really is. Like, he's earned the title. You gotta give it
Yeah.
to him. He
Yeah.
really takes his time.
Yep. Yep.
I
I I just like the concept of putting like the lives of other people into this man's hands,
yeah.
that people that have wronged him, is
Mhm.
very interesting. And
Yeah.
it's probably the most I don't know, like psychological it gets in the
Sure.
franchise. Maybe apart from Six. Six gets quite psychological, but like he's having to make moral decisions rather than just like I need to put my hand in this grinder thing
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
cut a finger
No,
off. Like you know what I mean?
yeah, I get you. I think the only thing I don't really like about the whole Jeff subplot is that, like, the reasoning for him being there is that, like, "Oh, you're not coping with your son's death well enough,
Yeah.
so I'm
Yeah.
going to
Yeah.
torture you for that." Like,
Yep.
he's going for enough. He doesn't really need to go for this as well.
Yeah, in terms of like Jigsaw's reasoning, it's pretty shit.
Yeah.
Like he makes him like burn all of his like kids' stuff in a
Yeah.
scene,
Like, how's that gonna help him move on?
which is a bit annoying. But
Mhm.
I do I just like the whole concept of like having, rather than like torturing yourself, having like the lives of other people in your hands. It's just an
Yeah.
interesting way to go, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting concept. I think it would just be better if Jeff was kind of someone who was really, really spiteful, and he is, but he doesn't really act on it at any point. I don't
Yeah.
think he really wanted to go through with any of that. So,
No.
I don't know. It seems kinda unfair to me, but he has to fuck the fire alarm! Ah! So the fire alarm just went off.
This recording's cursed.
Yeah, it really is. They really did not want us to finish this. Apologies for that.
It's okay, Fergus. It's nothing.
Well-
There's nothing
well-
you could have done about it. To be fair, I'll just say for the people at home, the fire alarm went off. Fergus just sat there. He
Shut
didn't
up.
move.
I meant to leave. Don't say. They might be listening.
I don't think the people that own your building are going to be listening to the popcorn.
Fucking hope
podcast.
not.
Fergus. We were talking about Jeff.
Yes, Jeff. Hefe. That does not mean Jeff.
Yeah,
Jeff.
you were kind of saying how like like the reason he's in there is not.
Yeah,
very-
that's right.
very
Yeah,
good.
it's a bit fucked, to be honest. I don't think he really deserves to be going for all that.
Yeah, I probably agree. It's just the place in the film that's probably the most interesting to me concept wise.
Yeah.
It's quite good.
I guess it's
Um,
also interesting that his wife is the one doing the brain surgery.
Yeah, that's a really good twist, I think.
Yeah.
Good look. Again, her web connects them all.
Yeah, exactly.
Connecting people up. This franchise loves to have two people that you don't think are connected and then connect them at the last minute.
I guess it's really brilliant on Jigsaw's end because he's like, well, now that I've helped you move on from losing your son, I'm going to have you kill your wife. That's brilliant.
Yeah,
Well done, Jigsaw.
I always kind of think that if they left it as a trilogy, this would have
Yes.
been a really nice place for the franchise to end.
Yes.
As Jigsaw dies,
Yeah.
he dies in 3. Gets
It's a mental
neck
twist.
cut open with like a with an actual like jigsaw, is it not?
Yeah, Jigsaw. Well, a saw, like a buzz saw. Yeah.
Yeah, buzzsaw. And yeah, then he kind of is dying, and you think that he's lost, and then his hand just kind of drops, and he's got a tape recorder in it,
Yeah.
and it's like, "Hello, Jeff. I have your daughter hidden away.
Brilliant.
She will die without you, Jeff."
It's a he really fucking hates that family. I don't understand why.
But yeah, I do think that's a nice final twist. Like Jigsaw gets one up on everyone, like
Mhm.
even in like as he's dying,
Mhm.
he wins. Like
Mhm.
it's interesting. I like it.
Do we want to talk about favorite traps?
Sure.
You got one?
The rack for sure.
Yeah, Rack's iconic.
The rack is horrendous.
Oh yeah, no, it's a tough watch.
Yeah, it's fun though. Like
Mhm.
that's kind of I always kind of think of the rack as almost being like kind of a perfect saw trap. Like
Yeah.
it's horrendous, but it's like you can't look away. Like
Mhm.
it's one of those.
Mhm.
Yeah, I really like the rack. I also like is it the angel traps that was called?
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
of the things are in our ribs and
Yeah. It's just unfortunate that was never a rigged one.
yeah,
Couldn't
for
have gone
sure.
out because she actually really committed to that. Putting her
Yeah,
hands in the acid.
yeah. Yeah, but as on a whole, as I said, I think the traps just don't really stick out in my head in this one.
That's fair enough. I think I really like the rack as well, but
Yep.
one part of it I dislike is what I was alluding to earlier when I was talking
Mhm.
about the gun behind the peephole. Where he has to like pull the key out, and there's a shotgun that'll fire off when he pulls it out,
Yep.
which he manages to avoid. But this
Yep.
fucking idiot is just wandering around behind him and
Yeah.
gets his face blown off. Like, what are you doing? Why are you just like standing about back there?
Yeah, for sure. That is a bit silly.
Yeah.
I also maybe the traps are quite good because they're coming back to me. The one where the judge is
Yes.
tied up and the pig stuff is coming.
That's my favorite trap.
Okay, sure. That is horrible.
Yeah, that really fucks me up.
Yeah. He's like he's tied up at the bottom, and it's like they're like putting pigs in like a meat grinder. Is that right?
Yeah, and it turns into like a sludge and starts
Yeah.
filling up the big poolies and
I will say one of the most annoying bits of that is he like keeps his mouth like permanently open, like he's constantly screaming,
Yeah.
like shut your mouth.
yeah, dude,
Like-
come on.
But yeah, the traps are decent. They don't always stick out in my head.
That's fair enough.
Like before this recording, like before we started talking, I could have told you the rack, the angel trap, and that was probably be about it.
Mhm.
But overall, I really do like Saw 3.
Yeah, Saw 3's a bit of fun.
One thing I will say is it's the part in the franchise where they really start leaning into flashbacks.
Yeah.
There's
Or
quite a
flash
few
forwards.
or flash forwards. They do quite a few flashbacks with Saw, Saw 3, and with his wife.
Mm-hmm.
They
Oh,
do quite a few
brother.
flashbacks with that, yeah, and they're just I don't find them overly interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it's a bit. I think there's too much stuff going on in the film, and then they add flashbacks into that as
Mm-hmm.
well. And I'm like, what are we doing here, guys? Like, it's getting
Yeah.
it's getting a little bit muddled up here.
Mm.
And then Saw 4 is like the worst for that, which we'll come to in a minute.
Oh yeah.
To the point where you can't actually tell what's going on.
Yeah,
Where
and
you
they have
are in the
some really
story.
crazy transitions in that one.
Yeah. But yeah, I do think the flashbacks in Saw 3 with John Kramer and his wife, they don't add an awful lot. They're interesting, I guess, enough, but they just don't add a lot to the story where there's enough going on anyway.
I'm just gonna say right now, she is my least favorite character for
Oh
all
yeah,
the films.
she's really annoying. She's like got an agenda and she sticks to it, if that makes sense. Like, it's a bit annoying.
I don't think the actress that plays her does a very good job either.
Nah, she's not great in it.
No.
But neither are a lot of performances.
Yeah, but when you put her opposite Tobin Bell,
yeah,
whose performance carries every film,
for sure,
even when he's barely in it.
I will say though, Tobin Bell's punching above his weight, man.
Yeah, honestly, what was the fucking age difference there?
I have no idea. Like, it is weird. It is such weird casting when you think about it.
Yeah, he should have been wearing like a backwards baseball cap and all that.
Yeah, exactly.
It just looks a bit weird otherwise.
What's your score out of, you said, 2, but you put up to 2.5, is that right?
2.5, yeah.
Okay. I've got it again 3.5. It's a really solid movie. We kind of touched on it as well, but like the stuff they do with Amanda's quite frustrating.
Yeah. And this is a film where she gets like kicked out of the franchise as well until Saw X, of course. But yeah, she also dies in this one. I don't even really remember how she dies. It wasn't interesting to me at all.
Jeff shoots her, I think, because
that
he
sounds
shoots
right.
his wife, and then Jeff shoots her.
Yeah, that's right.
And
I think it's later revealed that it was Hoffman that was kind of pressuring her to kind of fuck up the trap or whatever. So
yeah, I think Hoffman had it out for her.
yeah.
But yeah, overall, Saw 3, good film.
Yeah, I like it. And you'll notice that my scores are quite low for the franchise, but that doesn't mean I don't like these films.
Sure.
It's just reflective of their overall quality, but I still love them. Most
and then we take a dip in quality.
It's not that significant of a dip, I think.
I think it's pretty big.
I still quite like Saw 4. I don't know. I enjoy it.
I don't mind it. I'm not a fan. Like,
sure.
I'll start off with what I said at the start of my review. It is the best way of summing up this movie and the franchise as a whole. I watched a YouTube video in the Saw franchise ages ago. And one of the YouTubers said, the Saw franchise is one big flashback to a present day which never comes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is the best way to sum
That is quite good, actually, yeah.
We just, we never, in Saw 4, we just don't progress in the story, like, at all.
No, not really, no.
It's just such a waste of a movie, in my opinion.
Yeah, I kind of feel that, to be fair. It's definitely, the flashbacks, like you said before, are very egregious in this one.
Yeah.
But I think it's what makes the Saw films what they are, is this ridiculous soap opera of nonsense that is impossible to follow.
Yeah, for sure. And I think this is just the film where it's, for me, the most difficult to actually follow. Like, there are some points in this film I'm like, where are we?
No,
like, what is going on? It's just, it's so badly executed, all the jumping forward and backwards, and it's just, it's such a weird. And then it tries to tie into 3 at the end, and I'm like, wait,
because Strom's chasing Jeff about, right?
Yeah,
that's right.
It's a strange film, and I think the writers thought they were being very clever but it doesn't work for me personally.
No, I feel that. I think the reason why I like Saw 4 is because the traps really do stick out in my head from this one.
Yeah, I really like the traps in Saw 4.
Brilliant traps.
I think they're really good. Genuinely maybe some of the best in the franchise, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
I'd probably agree.
Like whenever like most of the stuff in the film I do think is quite boring, quite one of the run of the mill. We really lean more into the detective stuff in this
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
A lot more than the previous films, maybe bar like one that was quite heavy on the detective stuff. But
Mhm.
it's probably the most the franchise has leaned into it, and it is not interesting at all.
No, not really. I don't mind Rig, to be fair, as a protagonist. I think
Yeah,
he's alright to follow, but he's not
yep,
particularly interesting either.
yeah. But I do think whenever there's a trap, I'm like the film does come alive for a second, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
this is good.
yeah.
Um, Also like how in this one, Jigsaw actually starts going after murderers and rapists rather
Finally,
than
it's about fucking
somebody
time.
that smokes cigarettes. Like,
Yeah, which he then goes back to, but,
yeah,
you know,
literally.
for a
Um,
time, he was doing the right thing.
it just makes the traps more satisfying, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
Actually watching bad people get hurt rather than like Jeff, for example, who
yeah.
lost his son.
Mhm. And Jigsaw
um,
doesn't think he's coping with it well enough.
yeah, exactly. There's one where in specific on I'm pretty sure it's on a bed the trap happens and it's like a
Yes.
rapist.
Yeah.
That one is especially
That
brutal.
is I've got that written down as my favorite trap.
Okay, sure.
Um,
Um,
well, it's tied with the one at the end, which I guess we'll probably speak about in a minute, but,
yep,
I really like that one, again, just because the guy fully deserves it. You've got no sympathy for him,
yep,
and yeah, I think he really just deserves it.
yep.
Although, to be fair, I think he probably could have gotten out of it if he didn't just kind of fuck about with it. Like, he
Yeah,
had a minute, and not that I would want to gauge my eyes out either, but if I was in a situation, like, all your limbs are coming off otherwise, I'm not just
yeah,
gonna, like, do one and be
yeah,
like, "Oh,
exactly.
that's a bit sore. Maybe I won't do this." Because then, like, you've got one eye and no limbs, so you're kind of
Exactly.
just fucked. Just get them
Yeah,
both out of the way.
aye, exactly. But there's like moments in that in like every Saw film where it's
Mhm.
like they'll like you have to cut off 2 fingers to stay alive. And they'll cut off one and go, "Ow!" and then just not cut off the second one.
Not big on that. You see it in, like, Saw X, even if it's a dream sequence with the eyeball trap as well, where guys
Yeah,
have to break all his fingers or get his eyeballs sucked out. Like, just do it, man. Just crank the dial up.
yeah, I would have done it one to see what it done, and then I'd be like,
Mhm,
"Oh, that's not fun." And then I
mhm.
would just literally and
Yeah,
then
no.
it's just over with in one like swift motion.
Oh, yeah, exactly. You're just ripping off the plaster.
Yeah. My favorite trap in this one is the scalping seat.
Oh, really?
I really like that. It's so again, it's simple but
Mhm.
effective.
I thought it was gonna be the ice trap. That's interesting.
Ice trap's good too. I really like
Mhm.
the ice trap, but the scalping seat takes the cake for
Yeah,
me.
it's pretty
It's
brutal, to be fair.
it is very brutal, and
Mhm.
again, I like the simple ones rather than the big complicated ones. If that makes
Sure.
sense.
Yeah.
It's literally again like one of the most. It would be one of the most painful things you could probably put a person through.
Mhm.
And it's just such a simple thing to do.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
definitely my favorite.
It's interesting as well that his instruction is to leave her,
Yeah,
and then she tries to
yeah,
kill him once he gets her out of it.
yeah, exactly. Um,
I'm not sure what kind of lesson Bruce learned from it,
yeah,
but,
exactly.
I'm sure
um,
there's some kind of meaning to it.
I also quite like the is it the mausoleum trap? Is that what's called?
Yeah, the see no evil, speak no evil one.
That's the one. Yeah. I do quite like it. On a rewatch, I remember. I think I messaged you,
Yeah, you
and I
did.
was like, the guy that's not speaking has the biggest advantage.
Yeah,
Like,
oh yeah, no. He can
it's
actually, like, he has an idea of what's going on around him.
yeah, 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 exactly. Like it's kind of quite unfair, but
Mhm.
it's still a fun trap, I think.
No, yeah, I quite like that one as well.
Do you have a least favorite trap?
I do have a least favorite trap. I've got it written down because I think it's bullshit.
Yep.
It's It's very unmemorable as well. The only reason I remember it is because I was just like, "Come on, that is lame as fuck." When I seen it,
Yep.
it's when like the police are at the school
Yep.
and like the spear goes off and impales like a photographer on the scene.
Sure.
I think
Yeah.
that is nonsense. That was easily avoidable. There was a
Yep.
good chance that wouldn't work. It's a
Yeah.
miracle it did. I don't know. Not into that.
Yeah. I'd probably agree with you on that one.
Mhm.
Another one that I do really like, again, saying that the traps are so good in this film,
Mhm.
the knife chair,
Um.
the
Oh
one
shit!
where
Yeah, the first trap.
he pushes his face into the knives. Yeah, is that officially Jigsaw's first ever trap?
I believe so. Yeah, because it's the guy that caused the miscarriage.
Yeah. Um, Again, a very simple trap, yet very, very effective.
Mhm.
Really well done.
Mhm.
I would say this probably has the best traps in the franchise.
Yeah, honestly. Um, there's also the one as well where it's like the husband that's like a wife beater or whatever, and his wife are stuck in the chair and they have like the spears going through them, and they have to like
Yes.
kind of pull them out. I think it's satisfying that she's able to kill him from
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah.
Although it's kind of unfortunate she is put in that situation in the first place
Yep.
of having all this shit stuck in her.
Yeah.
Um, but it's still satisfying that he gets what he deserves.
Yeah.
So,
For sure.
I like it. There's
For sure.
also another weird one where it's again just a police officer in the scene, and Billy the Puppet's face just fucking explodes.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
quite like that. That's
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, overall, I really hate all the flashbacks or
Yeah,
flash forwards, whatever they are. And the detective stuff is just boring.
yeah.
But
No, I fully agree.
the
It's
traps are really good.
it's also where we finally get to end the Donnie Wahlberg shit that they try to make you invested in
Yeah,
for free films.
exactly.
Like,
And then
they keep cutting back to them in Saw Free, which
yeah,
I guess we forgot to mention, but it's really forgettable.
yeah. Oh,
No one
definitely.
cares.
Um, yeah, exactly. And another scene that I'm not a big fan of, is the opening scene, the bit where he's getting an autopsy, and it's just
Sure,
like
yeah.
cutting Jigsaw open. Like that's just
Mhm.
we don't need to see that. Like
Nah.
that could have happened off screen, and we could have got told about it.
But that's how
Like
we find the tape inside him that he swallowed.
we could have heard about that rather than watched
No,
it.
show don't tell.
Hmm. Maybe.
I don't know,
Um,
I don't mind that.
nah, it's just a bit for a way to open a movie. I'm like, you could have picked a lot of better ways to
Sure,
open a film
sure.
than just an autopsy.
I guess people
Um,
just really wanted to know what happened to Jigsaw.
yeah, I
That's
do like.
confirmation that he's dead.
Yeah, exactly. I do quite like how it's like, yes, Jigsaw is dead. Where are we going to go from here?
Mhm.
Like, um, and apparently not in a very interesting place. But
Well, yeah, this is where we get introduced to Hoffman as Jigsaw's new apprentice.
yeah, I don't mind Hoffman.
I quite like Hoffman.
He's silly. He's a silly little
Yeah,
guy.
I like him.
And
I
we get
like when he
introduced.
becomes like a murderer.
Did we
Just
get
straight up.
introduced to Stram in this one as well?
Yeah,
Agent
Stram as
Stram.
well. Yeah,
Yeah.
because he's chasing Jeff about
Yes.
towards the
Yes.
end and
Um.
ends up killing him.
Yeah. Overall, I've got it as a 2.5.
I've got it too,
Okay.
so quite similar. But
Yeah. It's
yeah,
just
I mean,
it's not very memorable except for the traps.
yeah, and we've not even really mentioned the ice trap either, but that's another really good one.
Yeah.
And
Like all the traps are really good in it.
yeah, and I think the ice one again plays into this theme of if you listen to Jigsaw and do what he says, then no one dies. But
Exactly.
people are just like so hot headed that they just rush in. In this case, literally rush in and activate the trap
Yeah.
because Donnie Wahlberg as well. If he just waited, then him and his son would be fine. If Jeff hadn't killed Jigsaw, then his wife wouldn't have died.
Yeah.
You know. So I think it's interesting that's like a recurring thing.
Yeah. For sure. For sure. Okay. Saw 5.
Yeah, I guess it's time.
Saw V.
Salvi.
Um.
Uh,
I.
don't like this one.
Okay.
It's
The
lower on my ranking.
okay. So Saw 4 and Saw 5 in my head are the same movie.
Sure.
Like I cannot. I find it really difficult to differentiate them.
Hmm.
Like they are so similar in terms of like structure and like
Hmm.
how the flashbacks and stuff are happening, and it's
Hmm.
just it's both films are very messy.
Hmm.
Overall, I prefer Saw 5 to 4.
Really?
Yeah. I just think it's easier to keep tracking where you are in the story in this
That
one.
is fair enough. Yeah.
It does still jump around a lot, but
Hmm.
it's definitely easier to be like, oh, so this happened then, this is happening now, and that's happening
Hmm.
in the future. Like
Sure.
it's just easier for me to keep track, and I think it just adds to my enjoyment overall.
I guess it's interesting because you like it more because it's more narratively cohesive,
Yeah.
and I like it less because I think the traps are less interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the traps in this one.
Hmm.
I like how we've went back to a whole like loads of people in a room and they have to
Hmm.
like work together and they're all connected in some way.
Her web connects them all.
Her web connects them all. Um, yeah, I like that. And as I said at the start, like it should get old quickly, but I
Hmm.
actually quite like it because they do it in Jigsaw as well.
That's right. Yeah.
And there might be another one where they do it. I can't fully remember.
Um,
Saw 6 kind of.
a little.
Um,
It's more like Saw 3 or Saw 4, where it's one guy going about all these different rooms. I guess.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, I really actually quite like the traps in this one.
Hmm. Y- yeah. I guess I agree. I don't think they're bad,
Yeah,
but I guess they're just not memorable to me. Particularly the ones with the 5 people. I don't
yeah.
find any of them really interesting. I think the
Okay.
ones both the traps that Stram ends up in, the first one
Yep.
where he's in the box with the water and he gives
Yep.
himself like a tracheotomy. I think
Yep.
that's really interesting.
Yep.
And
Me too.
him getting crushed at the end is
Yep.
also a good trap. Because
That's
again, if he would listen to the instructions, then
yeah, exactly. I That's my favorite trap in the film, I think.
Mhm.
Glass coffin. It's really
Yeah,
good.
it's a good one. Also opens on the pendulum, which I think is probably my favorite trap. I really like
Pendulum's a
that
good
one.
one too. Yeah. Um,
It's very iconic.
I'd probably agree with you in the traps that the actual 5 people have to go through are probably the least interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
I quite liked how I'm pretty sure is this one the twist at the end where they all could have survived
yeah. Yeah.
if they'd like communicated a bit better.
Pretty much, yeah.
Because they get to the last room, they're like there's like 5 holes for them to each like give a little bit of blood and survive.
Yeah.
But there's only
And
2
it
of
was
them
like
left.
the one key would have opened all their locks at the start, and
Yeah,
they
yeah,
all could have,
exactly.
like, fit into the tunnels and all that.
Yeah, I quite
Uh,
like that twist. I quite like it.
it's not right twist, if not pretty obvious.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
true.
the one with the nail bomb going off where there's all the tunnels that we need to hide in is probably the most obvious. There's no
Yeah,
reason to kick someone out of that.
yeah,
It's pretty clear that 2 people could fit in there.
yeah, exactly, exactly. But still, it's a nice little thing at the end where it's
Yeah.
like, oh, you all could have survived, you
Yeah.
dumbasses. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I
Uh,
also think like this we've had a switch up in director with this one because it was Darren Lynn Bousman that done 2,
yeah.
3, and 4.
David Hackle,
I
first one.
David who?
Hackle. Is
Hackle,
it?
David Hackle.
Yeah.
I think he's a better director than Darren Lynn Bousman. I think this film looks
Yeah.
a lot better, and it's less like motion sickness
Mhm.
editing style to
Mhm.
it. I just and yeah, he just knows a bit more how to like craft a story. I guess it feels.
Sure. Yeah. It's not just jumping about constantly. I
Yeah,
mean, we didn't
exactly.
even really touch on this that much with Saw 4, but the
Mm.
fucking transitions in that one, like in the
Oh yeah,
scalping scene where it'll just cut, like the camera will pan into like whatever the police are up to. Oh
yeah,
my god, it's unbearable.
yeah,
It's really mental.
yeah. I mean, I think they're quite cool done. Like
Yeah.
they look nice,
Yeah.
but it's so all over the place.
Yeah.
Like
It's really
I'm
hard to follow.
just getting into this scene. Why are you then doing this weird transition to this other scene? Like what are we
Yeah.
doing here?
I remember there's one as well in that film where it's like the police are talking and then it cuts back to the woman just screaming as she's being scalped,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
she's in
yeah,
the mirror or whatever.
yeah.
Mental. I
Um,
I mean, it's
and
unique at least.
yeah, yeah. I think my least favorite thing in Saw 5
Mhm.
is again the detective stuff, but it is actually unbearable in this movie.
Mhm.
Agent Stram just kind of walks around and is like muttering to himself for the full movie.
Yeah.
He's like, Detective Hoffman, I know your secret.
Yeah, pretty
I,
much.
I've got him now. Like,
Yeah.
shut up, man. Like, you're
Yeah,
talking
nah.
to the audience and no one else when you're
Mhm.
saying that. Um, yeah, it's just again, all the detective stuff is just
Mhm.
bad. Like, it is actually probably the worst in the franchise, maybe
Outside of Spiral.
outside of Spiral,
I feel
obviously.
like it's just obvious, and no point mentioning Spiral. It is
Exactly.
everything is worse in the franchise of Spiral.
um, but like, I do think the trap sequence is fairly interesting, and
Yeah,
as I said, this one and four really go hand in hand for me.
sure. No, that makes sense. I think I guess another thing that really puts me off with traps in this one is the 5 people are intentionally quite insufferable, but that
Yeah,
really doesn't make it fun to watch at all.
yeah, I agree with that. Actually, they're not overly memorable either.
No.
They're just kind of bad people.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's probably the most like disposable of all the Saw films for me
I think
in a
I'd
way.
probably agree with that.
That and four, they're just kind of very disposable films.
Fair enough.
I've got it again 2.5.
Mhm.
What have you got it?
Exactly the same. Oh, no, no, fuck, no, I don't. Sorry, I was looking at your rating.
Oh,
Oh,
sure.
shit. 1.5
One and a
for
half.
sci-fi.
Sure. Okay.
Not big on it.
Okay. That's fair
I
enough. I know a lot of people it's their least favorite in the franchise for a
That
lot of
doesn't
people.
surprise me, but yeah, it's my least favorite that isn't 7, 8, or 9.
Sure.
So,
um
but then I mean, I guess we just go from that to my favorite one then,
yeah,
and to
Saw
Saw 6.
numero 6.
I don't know why it's my favorite, but it's got a charm to it. For a start, this is the first one directed by, oh god, Kevin Greitert? I'm
Yeah.
guessing that's how you say it. Who was the editor for the first film. If not
Yes.
so I guess he's kinda already got this kinda intimate knowledge of how the Saw franchise works, and he also directed Saw X, didn't he?
Yeah, he also
Yeah,
done Saw 3D.
okay. Well, moving on from that. No, I really like Saw 6, it's very fun. It's very silly.
I really love Saw 6. I think Saw 6 is great.
The
Um,
trap that it opens on is brilliant,
yep,
with the
agreed.
screws going into their heads. I love that trap. I love how it becomes a competition between the 2 of them.
Yeah, yeah, I think every trap in this film I think is really great.
Yeah, there's
Um,
not really any that I dislike.
yeah, it's actually feels like there's been some thought put into it, which
Mhm,
is just absent from 4 and 5.
mhm.
Like, it actually feels like, oh, the writers have sat down and been like, "Okay, where can we take this that's an interesting route?"
Yeah,
And I I appreciate that. It's
I
actually it's actually now my second favorite in the franchise, after
I'm
the
delighted to
original.
hear that.
Yep.
I guess, just briefly, I don't think we said our favorite traps for Saw 5, our favorite and least favorite,
Oh,
or
sure.
I don't know if we fully confirmed them, but my favorite's a pendulum,
Okay.
and my least favorite is the nail bomb with the tunnels that they need to go into.
My favorite is the glass coffin,
Mhm,
and my least favorite is probably the same as you,
sure.
the nail bomb one.
Also, I don't really like the first one where they're, like, getting pulled in towards the blades or whatever, or they get decapitated and they need to, like, unlock the chains.
I don't
Uh,
mind that.
it's
I think it's quite good.
I like that trap, but I just remember how shit the decapitation effect looks when the
Oh
girl
yeah,
gets her head cut off. That's
sure,
all I think about when I think of that scene.
sure.
That's
Yeah,
wrong.
the nail bomb one's probably the lowest point in
Mhm.
that film for me.
Just 'cause it's so obvious.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
But
Yeah, Saw
getting back
6.
to Saw 6, getting back to a good Saw film. I like how it kinda tackles, I guess, the healthcare crisis in America at that
Yep,
point, health
yep.
insurance. Um, that's pretty nice, I like that.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
these people, I I don't know if I'd say they deserve to go through what they go through, but they people at the top, like the main guy, definitely deserves to be punished. So
Yeah,
I've not got
definitely.
too much sympathy for him,
Yeah,
but I do also quite enjoy following him as a character.
yeah.
It's weird that you kind
I
of root for him.
Yeah, I agree. And I again like Saw 3. I really like the whole I like the concept of the traps being like pick two people out of these six people with like shotgun carousel
Yeah.
or his whole like thing is like older people don't deserve because they're going to die soon anyway, and then he's
Mhm.
given like a young healthy person and then an old lady with like a family, and
Mhm.
who's he going to like save, and then he saves the old lady. It's just
Mhm.
it's really interesting, I
Mhm.
think. And again, I really like it when it gets into like being like almost like a psychological thriller rather than a
Yeah.
straight up like torture porn movie.
Yeah. And I think it balances them both very well.
Yeah.
I will just announce my least favorite trap right now.
Okay.
Um, even though I still like the trap, it's
Hmm.
probably just the ones where their lungs get crushed, just because it feels completely unfair to put them against a smoker.
Sure.
Also, to
Yeah.
have a guy be in a trap for smoking
Yeah. Yeah.
is
Yeah.
pretty shit.
Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah, I'd probably say that's my least favorite trap as well. It's an
Mhm.
interesting trap and concept.
Yeah.
But again, putting him up against a smoker is just really
It's
unfair.
yeah. It's interesting that it's like the first trap as well, where it's like a contest between it's like a breathing contest.
Yeah.
It's quite
Yeah.
interesting to see people, pit against each other, I
Yeah.
think.
Exactly. Yeah, I would agree with you. That'd be my least favorite trap. My favorite trap for sure is a shotgun carousel.
Shotgun carousel's iconic. Yeah,
Shotgun
I love the
carousel's
shotgun carousel.
excellent,
I
man.
I love how people, like, lie about being
Yep.
pregnant and such, to try and get out of it. It's
It,
brilliant.
it really shows how like horrible humanity is.
Yeah, yeah, the absolute, like, desperation
Yeah.
within these characters. And I like how at the end, he doesn't even really care who gets killed, he just puts his hand in.
I think one of the best bits in the entire franchise
Mhm,
is during the shotgun carousel bit where he's going to shoot the last guy, and he
mhm.
like shouts something like, "When you're killing me, you
"Look at
look at
me!"
me," and he like looks up and fires. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's such
Mhm.
a good scene.
It's a
Um,
little, like it's kinda overacted, but in a really, like in a good way, I think.
yeah, for sure, for
It's
sure.
kinda corny, but I really like that.
Yeah. I also
"Look at
really like
me. When you're killing
the
me, you look at me."
that's the one.
Yeah.
It's the way William looks up at him, I think, is
Yeah.
excellent. Like, it's almost
Mhm.
like dead in the eyes. Like
Mhm.
it's so good. And I really like the steam maze as well.
Ah, sure, yeah. Mhm.
The only thing I don't like about the steam maze, I can't fully remember how it ends, but I remember not being fond on the end of it. Did
Sure.
something happens? Does
That
she like start fighting him or something, and then she
yeah,
like
I
falls
think
over
so,
a
yeah.
railing, or it's just really dumb. Like he's just
Yeah.
tortured himself to save you, and then
Mhm.
you've got through it and you start like hitting him. I'm like, bro, what are you
Yeah,
doing?
nah. I barely remember that might be my least favorite now that I think about it. I can barely remember that one.
Yeah.
I'd actually completely forgotten about it until you said Steam Maze, and I've just got a kind of vague idea of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I think I know what you mean, though. Not
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
But, yeah,
Is it like
aside from that
I'm pretty sure like the key is like in his like body or something?
yeah, that's right, that's why she's trying to kill him.
Yeah, and I'm like, just chat this out. Like, there's no
Yeah,
need.
yeah.
You're like off the clock at this point.
Yeah, let's
Like,
communicate here, you know?
um, yeah, it's just that's a bit frustrating. But as a concept for a trap, I think it's quite cool.
Mhm.
Um, and I think the twist is excellent at the end of this.
That,
Really good twist. The
where
whole
Roderick kills him.
yeah, but before that, like you think that that's his
Yeah.
family,
Yeah,
and
because
it's
she's
at
like, "Oh, we're here because 'cause you're father," and
yeah,
it's because he denied his father the health insurance that
yes.
ended up killing him.
Yeah, and he's actually married to the journalist woman who's in the other
Yeah,
room.
that's right.
Really clever trap, I think, and really clever trap,
Mhm.
clever twist. Um,
It is almost upsetting after everything he goes through
yeah,
that he gets killed off by
yeah.
the end after all his efforts. But it's not entirely undeserved, really.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I quite like the end of the film, and I'd forgotten the twist as well. I totally had forgotten
Mhm.
that was going to happen, so it happened again. I was like, "What? Oh, I remember
It's a
that."
great twist. I
It
like
is
that.
it's maybe one of my favorite twists in the franchise. Actually, it's
We should
really
rank all the Saw twists.
yeah. That's an idea. That's good. Um, I do think also the detective stuff it improves slightly.
Yeah.
It's still not interesting, but
No.
it's much better than 4 and 5 were doing. There's a good scene where Hoffman kills is it Rig and it's not
Uh,
Rig,
no, I forget his name. It's like the old guy.
the old guy. Yes,
I'll have
and
a
like
look.
sets their bodies on fire. That's a really good scene, I think.
Mhm. No, I can't find it. It doesn't matter. Yeah, no, I
Um,
like how by the end he just starts murdering people. I think that's cool.
yeah, yeah.
He just goes on
Um,
an absolute spree.
and I love the cliffhanger that it has. Like, it
Mhm.
actually makes me kind of want, like, almost want to have seen that in cinema. Like the bit
Mhm.
where he gets put in the reverse bear trap and then he takes it off and he screams. Like,
Yeah.
such a good cliffhanger.
Mhm. I love as well that they bring back reverse bear trap and it almost goes off, but I love the way that he gets out of it when he
Yeah,
jams in between the bars.
it's clever. It's very
Mhm.
clever. Yeah, it's my second favorite in the franchise. I really do love Saw 6.
Yeah, it's fun to follow. Again, William Easton as the protagonist is he's got the right amount of sleaziness to not be fully unlikable,
Yeah,
and you enjoy going through a film with him, but you still want to see him get punished.
yeah, exactly. I agree with that. And as you said, like Kevin Grutert,
Something like that.
I do think he actually really gets the franchise. Like you can tell he's
Mhm.
got passion for it.
Mhm.
Like with this and with Saw X. And
Mhm.
as we're going to talk about Saw 7, I do think you can still get a sense of passion in that movie.
Yeah,
So yeah, I do think he's outside of James Wan, probably the best director to touch the franchise.
sure. Yeah, I'd probably agree. Maybe the best when I think about it, because my 2 favorite films in the franchise are directed by him, but he also
Yeah.
did Saw 3D, so
Yeah, that's true.
So,
Um,
I guess just to sum up, my favorite trap is the opener with the screws going into their heads, and
yep,
my least favorite is probably never Steam Maze, but it was the lung compression.
sure. I'll go Shotgun Carousel's my favorite, and I'll
Mhm.
go the lung compressor thing for my
Sure.
least favorite.
Yeah.
I've got it as a 4 out of 5.
I've got it at 3, but honestly, I think 3.5 is more apt. There we go.
Three and
But
a half.
there we go. I'm glad we
Nice.
had this conversation. I'm adjusting my scores.
Nice. And now we get to talk about Saw 3D.
Oh, yay, maybe I can lower this one.
um,
Not big on this one.
yeah, I know you're not.
Hmm,
I don't mind it as much as some people do.
really?
It's definitely one of my least favorite in the entire franchise, for sure. I
Mhm,
think it is. It's probably my least favorite out with Spiral.
mhm.
Um, but it's it's not a bad film per se.
Uh,
I mean,
mm,
it kind of
uh,
is. Like I know what I'm watching is terrible. Like if that makes sense. Like
mhm,
I know I'm watching a bad movie.
mhm.
But it's just it's it's very it's batshit insane.
Yeah,
Some of the
to be
stuff
f
they do in this film.
yeah, I'll give you that.
And I'm like, I almost just admire it in a way for just going absolutely mental with
Balls to
the
the
plot.
walls.
Yeah.
That would be a good trap. Balls to the walls, we're talking about that, that's what we could call it.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Uh,
Yeah, I just low key. There's something I quite admire about it.
yeah.
It doesn't seem to care anymore
Yeah,
in a way.
yeah.
But you can almost tell it's kind of they're trying to wrap it up.
Mhm,
Because this was originally called the final chapter. This was meant to be
mhm,
the last one. Um, you can tell they care for the fans and they are trying to give them a satisfactory conclusion.
mhm,
It's just they've had to put in a trap sequence which isn't that interesting and
mhm.
just yeah, it just I almost feel bad. It could have been really good, I think. and they
Mhm.
just they kind of messed up a little bit.
I think it's weird that it's meant to be the conclusion to the Saw films, and we're like, well, whilst we're concluding it, why don't we start a new plot thread about Dr. Gordon, and he's been helping the whole time, and then we'll never see that expanded on if this is the last film. So
I
why are we even
don't.
starting it?
I genuinely don't mind that it wouldn't be expanded on. I think it's quite interesting that he was like pulling the threads the full time.
Yeah, I guess, but I don't know. It feels like it kind of ends on a cliffhanger. Oh, yeah, Dr. Gordon was the villain the whole time, and then that's it, and we'll just
Yeah,
never really learn about it.
yeah. In terms of like the actual trap plot, I think the concept of a guy who's pretended to be in a saw trap is quite interesting.
Mhm.
He pretended got fame off it, and then he's actually put in a saw trap for real.
Yeah, yeah,
Interesting plot. I don't think the film does a whole lot with it.
no.
There's like a couple of scenes where he's like exploiting it, and then he's
Mhm.
just like randomly in the trap, and then he's just like, "Oh, I guess I'm doing this now." Like,
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. We have to remember this film is iconic for one reason, and
mm,
that's this is where we get Jigsaw in his little baseball cap.
yes,
Oh, we get young Jigsaw.
yeah.
Aw, I like that.
When he gets his wee book signed by the guy who's
Yeah,
pretended to be in a saw trap.
yeah, I like that.
You better be careful. You might end up in a saw trap for real. Like,
Subtle foreshadowing.
yeah, I don't think the traps are overly memorable.
No, I can tell you my
Um,
least favorite if you want.
go for it.
I fucking hate where Brazen Bull. Uh,
What one's that?
that's at the end where he's. It's like it's interesting because the trap that
Oh, okay,
he
I got you.
pretends to be in,
Yep.
but his wife getting killed is really shit because she had nothing to do with it, and
Yeah,
it's one of the most brutal deaths I think in the whole series
yeah,
potentially.
yeah, I agree. I could tell you my least favorite trap.
Go on.
My least favorite trap is the one that opens the movie, the public execution trap.
Oh, I quite like that one.
It's no,
It's very
oh,
silly.
the pink blood I could do without. The whole I
That's the
think
whole
we're breaking
film.
up with you, Tina. All that crap
Ah,
I
come
could do
on,
without.
nah. That's
Nah,
funny.
man, it's not it.
I don't understand why it's in public and how Jigsaw
Exactly.
had the time to say that all out, but who
Um,
cares?
and
It's Saw 3D, we don't care anymore.
in terms of like, I don't know if I can necessarily blame Kevin Grutter because I honestly feel like the 3D idea would probably be pushed by the studio rather than
Mhm,
him.
mhm.
But the 3D effects look terrible
Yeah.
whenever they happen. There's one where at the end, Dr. Gordon throws the saw away. He's like, he picks it up. He's like,
Yeah.
I don't think so. And then he throws it away, and it's so CGI. It looks like that
Mhm.
CGI bathroom from the end of the Saw short film. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
it's just not great. And the whole pink blood thing I could do without.
Yeah.
The blood looks horrible. It
How
just
did we
doesn't
even
look
get to
real.
pink blood?
I've
It
no
looks
idea.
dreadful.
It just makes like what's meant to be like gruesome scenes quite laughable. Like,
Yeah.
just doesn't look real at all.
Mhm. I
Um,
remember there's, like, a weird bit where, like, she's chained up or whatever, and the fucking train with the saws comes towards her, and that's a weird 3D bit.
yeah. Is that not like in a
Yeah,
dream or
it's a dream
something?
sequence.
Yeah. That's pretty dumb. If that's a trap, I can count. That's probably my least favorite.
Sure.
um, yeah, it's a strange film. It's probably the strangest film in the franchise.
Mhm.
Um, what's your favorite trap? 'Cause I think we may have
Uh,
a similar one here.
I'm gonna go for the neo-Nazis.
Yeah, I think it's called the horsepower trap, the car one.
Sure, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the one where
The
his
white
skin's like
supremacists.
attached to the seat,
Yeah, and is he not the singer for a band as well? Is it like Linkin Park or something?
something like that. Yeah, I mean,
He's very good in this scene, I
I
think.
don't know if publicizing yourself in a movie as a neo-Nazi would be very good for your career, but
Well,
each to their own, you
but
know.
he plays the scene very well, though. It's
um,
excruciating with the skin sticking to
yeah,
the
I,
seat of the car.
I think that is the genuine like. I think it's one of my favorite traps, like as a whole.
Mhm.
It's really cringe-inducing.
And
Um,
it's good as well because it's one of these traps that kills off people that deserve to be killed off.
Yeah, for
and it
sure.
kills like five really bad people.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. Thank you,
Um,
Jigsaw.
yeah. I'm just gonna. I've slated it for a bit. I really don't like a lot of this film. I'm
Mhm.
going to go in and try and defend it a little bit.
Okay.
Um, as we already said, I just love how the way it tries to tie everything in to like
Mhm.
even like the first movie
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
so mental that it just gives me like a massive like smile on my face. I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
this is what I want from a Saw movie.
For
Like
sure.
it's so insane.
Mhm.
Also love how we see the reverse bear trap go off.
Finally, yeah, that was a contender for my favorite trap because not only are we finally getting to see it being used despite the pink blood,
Yeah,
but it's also on a character that I don't like at all,
yeah,
and who we've had to
yeah,
deal with for like the past what 4 or 5 films.
yeah.
Um,
Um, I think overall it's objectively a bad film. Like I
oh
know it's a
yeah,
bad film.
mm.
Um, but I just there's something about it that I kind of enjoy.
It's stupid. It's really
It's yeah,
stupid,
yeah.
almost to an enjoyable extent,
Mhm.
but it's beyond cohesion.
Oh, yeah, 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 for sure.
I
Um,
I I I will say one thing I like. I like the idea of the Jigsaw survivor support group. I think
yeah,
that's a pretty interesting idea,
I like that. I like that a lot.
and I like that, what's his name? Bobby. Is he, like, the con artist? Um,
Yes.
yeah, I like that he comes into that and kinda exploits it a bit, uses it
Yeah,
for sales of his book, and when Dr.
yeah,
Gordon comes in and does, like, the slow clap.
yeah, and with his little walking stick.
Yeah, and at that point, it's like, "Oh, he's the villain the whole time." You can just tell
Yeah,
immediately.
yeah. Um, yeah, overall, I've got it as a 2.5.
I have it at 1.5.
Okay, sure. It's
Yeah.
defo like I can tell it's probably a worse film than 4 and 5, but
Mhm.
there's something about it I like a little bit more than 4 and 5. So
Uh,
it's just a bit of it's a strange film for me.
yeah, I see where you're coming from for sure. It's very silly,
Yeah,
and that does kinda make it enjoyable,
yeah.
especially the neo-Nazi scene. I love that scene.
Yeah, 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 for
One of the
sure.
absolute highlights from a series, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Can I just say one thing I really like? Well, I don't know if I like it, but have you seen the poster where it's like a giant, like,
Yeah,
statue of John Kramer or
and they're,
whatever?
like, building him.
Yeah,
Like,
what's that about?
no
I
idea, it's such a
I
strange poster.
it kinda makes sense, I guess, because, like, all the posters are, like, body parts,
Yeah,
and it's like, "Oh, we're finally putting them together." But I don't know, it looks weird.
I
Or
remember
giant John Kramer wasn't even in the film.
yeah, exactly. But I remember going to the cinema in 2010 and seeing that poster and
Mhm.
thinking I was like, "What the hell is
What are they
that?"
building?
Like, is this like a movie about, like, a big giant fella? Like, what is
He's
going
gonna
on?
come out and, like, start being a shit of Godzilla.
Um, but yeah, it's a definitely a bad film. Like
Yeah.
I'm not gonna try and defend it too much. It's a
Mhm.
bad movie, but there's something quite strangely likable about it for me.
Mhm.
Um, but it is overall probably my second least favorite in the franchise.
Yeah, I agree.
Sure.
Actually, no, it's my
Um,
3rd least favorite.
oh, okay.
Yeah. I guess
Is that time to talk about Jigsaw?
it's time to talk about Jigsaw. Yeah,
Which I think will be the one that we have maybe the most polarizing opinions on.
do you think
Well, yeah, I like Jigsaw.
oh dear, okay, maybe we will then. Yeah, this is the reboot of the Saw franchise that came was it 7
Yes,
years after Saw 3D.
7 years after, yeah.
Uh, to everyone's excitement, we're getting the Saw films back, yippee!
Yippee!
Um, unfortunately, it's not very good, but, you know
Look, there's a lot that's wrong with this movie. A lot
yes.
that's wrong with this movie. There's also a lot of stuff it does really right
Mhm.
that I really admire about it.
Name
And
one thing.
twist is excellent.
Nah.
um, I love how, and I know this will probably be one of the things you hate about it.
Mhm.
I love how it's a massive change in like tone to the previous 7 films that we've had.
Yeah, it takes
Um,
itself pretty seriously.
yeah, I said like it's taking itself more seriously, but also in some scenes it's a bit more light-hearted.
Mm.
Like there's a bit more humor in it, like purposeful humor.
Mm.
I wrote in my review it's kind of been Marvelified in a way.
That's a good way of looking at it. Yeah.
And I'm not saying that as necessarily a criticism. I know a lot of people would,
Mm.
but I quite like the little quips that they give, and I think the script is actually quite nicely, like the dialogue's quite nicely written.
I'm not into it.
Yeah.
But
I like the traps. Traps are good.
they're okay.
They're a lot less gruesome, I noticed.
Yeah,
Um,
I struggle to pick a favorite.
okay, I like my favorite one's the grain silo trap.
I feel that's my least favorite.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
I just think well, and if you really think about it, there's no way that baby would have been able to avoid all those falling obstacles.
Sure, I get
I
it.
I think it'd be a better trap if it didn't have all the saws and shit falling out the sky. If it was just the silo filling up, I think that would be a lot better.
Yeah, I guess I maybe looked at it a little bit from like it's a very tense
Yeah.
sequence.
No,
Um,
I agree with that. I like the guy has to cut off his leg.
yep,
That's
and
gruesome.
I will praise this to the day I die.
Mhm.
The way they get John Kramer back is so clever, in my opinion.
Is
I
it?
think it is very, very clever. And I know I'm not the only person in the world that thinks this,
Okay.
because I read things online about people saying how clever it is, and some people saying they didn't like it. But
Can you explain Sai to me, or Jigsaw? I've got it written down as Sai. Can you? It's very hard for me to understand it.
how do you mean? What part?
It's always just going back and forward in time, and it always confused me a little bit.
Yeah. So the trap, like
It's
the
like
main
in the
trap,
past.
is in the past,
Yeah.
and Jigsaw's doing that one.
Yeah.
And the trap that the detectives are looking at
Is
is
the guy recreating that?
yeah,
He's like the Saw superfan.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
I really
Yeah.
like that. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it kind of works, I guess. I guess if I'm gonna praise any aspect of it, I guess it kind of works. It's a neat little twist at the end. It's a nice little reveal.
Yep.
It's kind of like Saw 2, when it's revealed that that trap happened the day before.
Yeah,
It's kind of similar to that, I think.
for sure. I would actually say maybe worked a little bit better than Saw 2, but that's
Possibly,
just me.
because
Um,
you definitely don't know it's coming. That's for sure.
yeah. It'd be funny if your son is in a safe and secure place. It's just the same twist. Um,
Could you imagine?
I think
They
like the
just open
main
up and Jigsaw crawls out of a safe.
um, I think the main game it's definitely repetitive. Like we've seen this
Mm,
before, but I think it's still pretty good.
mm.
I still like how their web connects them all. All the characters are
Yep.
connected, but we just don't know how until like the last minute, and we slowly learn.
Mhm.
Like it's good. And yeah, I do like I probably like more about Jigsaw than dislike about Jigsaw.
I don't like it.
What do you not like about it?
I don't like any of the characters for a start. I don't give a
Yeah,
fuck about this new guy that's meant to be like the Jigsaw impersonator.
sure,
Because it's another guy that works for the police, and then he was the Jigsaw the whole time. So it's like
sure.
Hoffman, but just not like I like Hoffman, and
Yep,
I don't
I
like his.
would definitely agree with that.
Mhm.
It's I like the twist where they reveal how John Kramer's still in it is clever. The
Mhm.
final twist on who the new Jigsaw is very underwhelming.
Mhm.
Um, and I would have liked to have seen it maybe explored in a sequel, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know if I care enough about him
Yeah.
to see it explored in a sequel. I
Mhm.
feel like he got a bit of a like. I feel like if he got a chance to like be full on Jigsaw, like we actually
Mhm.
see him being Jigsaw in a sequel, he could have pulled it off. But yeah, it's a bit underwhelming in my opinion.
Could have been an opportunity to explore Dr. Gordon and that whole
It,
reveal from Saw
yeah,
7.
it could have, but they didn't.
No.
Um,
Yeah, I don't really care for people in the trap either, to be
yeah, I don't
honest.
mind them. I quite like them actually.
I will.
Um,
Do you know my favorite traps?
go for it.
I quite like the spiral. Like the motorbike spiral where he gets lowered down, he has to like
Oh
pull the
yeah,
wheel.
that's a good
I
one.
quite, I
Yeah.
quite like that one. It just kind of stands out to me.
Yep. That's
Maybe
a good one.
controversially, I quite
Mhm.
like the laser trap at the end.
No, it
I quite
sucked.
like that. I know it's controversial, but it's a cool effect. I like the way like his head opens up like that.
Worst effect in worst trap in the franchise for me.
Nah,
I
it's not that bad.
I really hate it, especially how it's meant to be the big finale trap to the movie,
Yeah, but I don't know.
and it's so
It's it's kind
unbelievably
of
cheesy.
cool,
It's
dude.
terrible.
It's a Saw
It's
franchise
terrible. Why are we going into laser territory?
for a laugh.
Oh no. Um, yeah, not a big fan of the laser trap, and I'm also not huge on all the detective stuff. Again,
No,
it's maybe slightly more interesting than it normally is, but again, it's not fully interesting either.
it's another
Um,
corrupt cop. Well,
yeah, and
all
also
along.
the misdirect in the film where it's trying to get you to think it's this woman cop because she's
Hmm.
like got all these jigsaw props and stuff,
Yeah, she's like a
and it's
mega
actually
fan for some reason.
yeah, it's actually the other guy. Is not. I don't think it's great misdirection. Like I'm immediately
Hmm.
like, oh, so it's obviously not her then because the movie's
Yeah,
not going to go that route.
yeah.
Um, however, overall, I really like I really like Jigsaw. I have a
I
lot of
don't.
fun with Jigsaw.
I don't.
Um, I've got it as a 3 stars.
I've got it at 1. I
Ooh,
think
one.
only thing I'm grateful for about Jigsaw is that it kind of reboots the franchise and that leads to Saw X. So
Sure.
that's the only positive thing I've to say about Jigsaw, really.
It's definitely far from a perfect film. Like
Mhm,
100%. Like I'm not being like this is the best film of all time, but
mhm.
I do have a good bit of fun with it. And I remember liking it a lot less like before, and in this rewatch it went up in my estimations a bit. So
Sure.
um
It's definitely not my least favorite Saw film.
sure.
I guess
um
we'll segue into that. Oh,
yeah.
oh.
Spyro from the Book of Saw. Can I
Yay!
ask a question first of all?
Mhm.
What is a Book of Saw?
It's like the Book of Mormon, but I
Fucking
don't
hell,
know.
man. Right, okay.
Uh,
I hate Spyro
Me too.
with a fist bump, man. We
Yay!
agreed, yes.
Well, I'm actually
I,
gonna. I'm just sorry to interrupt. I'm just upping Jigsaw's score right now because I've got both of them at 1, and that feels unfair. Jigsaw's
yeah.
now at 1.5.
Yay. Um Spyro's terrible.
Spiral sucks.
Spyro from the book of Where the Fuck Are All the Good Saw Traps?
Yeah, real. It was
It's
tough to pick a favorite. Also
so
tough to pick a least favorite because we're all just kind of on the same level of shit.
I easily picked a favorite.
Mhm.
There's one trap that stands above every other one for me personally.
Okay.
And that's the subway trap at the start of the
That's
movie.
what I've got as my favorite too. I like
S-
that one.
I like that trap. That's a good trap. The
It's a
rest are
little.
in a total level pegging for me. Like
Yeah, agreed. It's a little like the one we're talking about in Saw 7 when, like, the train comes towards her and cuts her in
yeah,
half or whatever, but it's actually done alright, to be fair. It's
yeah,
a good scene. I like that he
I
has
agree.
to take his tongue out. Yeah, it's
Yep,
a fine trap.
yeah. I think the Saw films work as a whole because of how unpredictable they are. They are
Mhm,
quite unpredictable movies.
mhm.
Spyro is the most predictable film I think I've ever seen in my life.
Yes, yes.
I remember watching it for the first time with my friend Daniel,
Mhm,
and about 20 minutes in, I called who the bad guy was.
mhm,
It is so blatantly obvious.
mhm,
It is unreal.
mhm. No, I agree.
And
It
it focuses on the most boring part of any Saw films, the
the police.
detectives.
No one cares.
Mm,
Why would you want to make a film about this?
yeah.
I don't understand.
There's even a scene where we're about to get a trap. I think we get it later on, but we're
Mhm,
about to get this trap and it's about to start and it cuts away to the police stuff for like 15 minutes. And then we
mhm.
do see it later, but I'm like, why are you cutting away? I was into that there for a second.
Yeah, yeah.
It just ruined all the tension. Like the tension's completely gone.
Almost in a way like, in Saw 4 with the scalping trap when it keeps cutting back
Yeah,
to the police,
exactly.
but at least there's, like, the wacky transitions in Saw
Yeah,
4
yeah.
to keep you invested in it.
I do think the first 10 minutes to the film actually hold a bit of potential, like with the
Yeah,
subway
they're
trap
okay.
and everything.
Mhm.
And yeah, we get this new kind of iteration of Jigsaw, which I don't like.
Mhm.
But it's got promise. I'm like, okay, this could be good, and it goes
Mhm.
downhill very, very fast.
I will say I quite like the voice that they use for Jigsaw. I think it's quite unsettling.
I'm not a fan, I don't think.
It's nothing on Tobin Bell or Billy the Puppet. It's nothing on
Yeah.
that, but I do think it is quite creepy in a way because it's like AI. I don't know. I think it's
Hello,
kind of unsettling.
Detective Banks. I
Yeah,
want
I don't
to
know.
play a game.
When you say it like that, but
That's
like
what it sounds like.
no, in the film it sounds a bit better than that. I don't know. Look, I'm searching for positives here.
Okay.
Okay, can you just let me have that?
Yeah, of course. I'll give you a positive.
Mhm.
Samuel Jackson, just because he's Samuel Jackson in a Saw movie. That's pretty
Yeah,
fun.
that's fun to see. Negative, Chris Rock in a
Chris,
a
yeah,
Saw film.
Chris Rock can't act.
What the
That's
fuck
a
are you
pretty
doing
big
here, Chris
negative.
Rock?
Apparently he pitched the film.
Yeah, he just
I
wanted to be
read.
in a Saw film, I
Yeah.
guess.
Um. Yeah. Not a good actor at
No.
all. I guess in some comedic performances he's all right.
He's quite good as in Madagascar when he's Marty, the zebra. He's
Exactly.
quite good at that.
I can't actually watch this film without hearing Marty, which ruins it a
Nah.
little bit for
Yeah, it
me.
does a bit.
But he just can't do dramatic like at all. Just
Mhm.
doesn't work. And yeah, the only cast member I get something out of is Samuel Jackson, simply because he's
Sure.
Samuel Jackson. Um,
It's a shame that this is, like, taking itself so seriously because if you're gonna put Chris Rock in any Saw film, it has to be one of the ones that just aren't serious at all
yeah,
and are
for
just
sure.
silly nonsense. You can't put him in this where it's trying to be like a gritty detective drama.
Yeah. I also find the dialogue unintentionally hilarious.
Yeah.
It thinks it's being like Pulp Fiction dialogue.
Mhm.
Like I remember there's a scene where they're like walking to one of the traps. I think it's the subway trap, and they're like talking about like how hard it is to be married when you're a detective and all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's thinking it's got this quick fire, like cool dialogue,
Mhm.
and it couldn't be less interesting in my
No.
opinion.
No, I genuinely do not give a fuck about anything that's happening in Spiral.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really poor.
Yeah, for sure. I will say again to give it a little bit of praise.
Mhm.
I think it's maybe the nicest I saw films looked visually.
It looks pretty good.
I think it looks quite nice.
I'd probably give it to Saw X myself, but
Okay, that's fair. It's nicely lit. It's edited quite well.
mhm.
It's not all that kind of motion sickness editing style, which is nice.
Mhm.
However, other than that,
I guess you
no-
just kinda have to expect that when it came out, like, 20 years after the first one.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, other than that, not a lot stands out in this
No.
film at all for me.
You were you able to pick out a least favorite trap?
I'll have a little look right now because I can't remember a single other one other than this
I've
subway
I've
trap.
personally gone for the final one where you just, like, shoot a target to get Samuel Jackson down, and then he just gets hoisted back up anyway.
Yeah, there isn't actually a lot of traps in the movie.
No, there's not, which is what's wrong with it really
Yeah,
fundamentally.
I'd agree. I'll agree with your one, the one where he has to shoot the target.
Yeah, not big enough.
Not
Just because it's such bullshit, like, the police come in, set off a tripwire, and you just get taken back up.
yeah, I don't mind the one where the guy's like tied up and he's getting like glass like thrown
That's
at him.
okay, yeah.
That's all right, but it's just I feel like the subway trap's like on a different level, and then it's
Yes.
just the rest of them are so painfully bad.
I remember there's one where someone had to, like oh, fuck, sorry. This
We're
didn't
going
mean to
well,
be so
Fergus.
gross,
Don't
but
mess it up.
yeah, someone had to, like, remove their fingers or whatever, it was like a finger trap, like a
Yes.
Chinese finger trap. That was okay, but it doesn't stand out. It's all
Yeah.
just kinda mid-tier saw
Yeah.
traps at
Yeah.
best.
I agree. Another thing I quite like, just trying to. I'm really trying to like find things I like about this movie.
Mhm.
There's a cool little scene where there's a funny little pig puppet on a string guy.
Yeah, I remember that.
I liked that.
I
It was a
don't.
cool update on like a puppet. I think.
Yeah, I guess, and it makes sense because 'cause we're police officers as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess that makes sense.
But Overall, not a fan of Spiral.
No.
I was shocked when I looked at people in my my friends on Letterboxd who have watched it. A lot of people really like it and consider it one of the
Yeah.
better Saw films.
I mean, maybe it got mixed up, perhaps?
Maybe, maybe. I know, like, in terms of like Rotten Tomatoes and stuff, it's like one of the best, is it not?
Don't ask me, I don't pay attention to Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But I think they're all quite low, but I think Spiral's one of the higher ones
Disappointing
in
if true.
percentage. Yeah, it's a bad movie. It's a
Mm,
really bad movie. I've got it as a 1.5, and that's pushing it.
I've got a 1,
Okay.
and I can confirm it's got the lowest average rating on Letterboxd as well,
Okay.
at
That's fair enough.
2.1.
That's fair enough. Yeah, not a good film. But at least we're ending on a high.
Yes, finally, and you know what? Maybe one day, well, I know one day we will be getting another Saw film, so hopefully it'll be on the same level of quality.
Yep.
But Saw X
Saw
is
X.
currently the most recent entry into the franchise,
Yeah.
and it's very fun. I
It's
really
good.
like Saw X.
It's really good.
I saw it in the cinema twice.
Yeah.
I went to see it with my friend for the first time, and I took my parents to see it the second time.
hmm
And both times were very fun. It's something
Um,
great to watch with other people, I think.
yeah, I watched it in the cinema with my dad, and then I
Mhm.
rewatched it, as you know, with my grandparents.
Yeah.
And that was fun.
Here
But
here are big Saw fans now.
they're big Saw fans. But yeah, I just think it's a shame that it came so late.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it feels
Yeah.
such an obvious thing to do with the franchise.
Mhm.
Like, it came so late, and I genuinely had no hopes for Saw X
Mhm.
after, especially after Spiral.
Mhm.
I got excited that Tobin Bell was coming back and all that stuff,
Mhm.
but I remember being like, "This isn't going to be good,"
Mhm.
and then it got great reviews when it came out, like such good write-ups, and the Saw franchise is famously hated by critics,
Mhm.
and the critics were really praising it, and I was
Mhm.
like, I'm so happy that it's getting a kind of reappraisal in a way. The
Mhm.
franchise, it's good.
I was just so excited to see a Saw film in the cinema for the first time.
Yeah, I
That was
was pretty
also
hyped
really
for that
exciting
too.
because
Yeah,
all my life I'd wanted to see Saw films. Like I'd seen poster for like Jigsaw and all that, so it was really cool to actually get to see one in the cinema.
yeah,
Uh, Although I was frightened that Jigsaw might set up a trap and I'd get like locked into the seat. You know, like little wrist straps would come out.
yeah,
But that never happened, so it's okay.
yeah. Yeah, I really do like Saw X.
Mhm.
It's my third favorite in the franchise, but it's close to be my second. Um,
It's currently my second favorite.
that's
It's
fair.
really tied with Saw 6.
Yeah, I love how it's more personal to John Kramer.
Mhm.
This one, really goes down that route, and I really like how out with like other than like opposing kind of Spiral, how we were moaning about there's not really any traps.
Mhm.
Um, I actually quite like how in the first like half an hour of this, there's no traps.
Yeah, there's little moments that are peppered throughout it. You know, you get
Yeah.
like the eyeball sequence, which
Yep.
is a dream sequence, but still a very
Yep.
effective scene. And there's a guy that's got like the bombs in his wrists as well, which I
Yeah.
think that's a trap that gets forgotten about. I think, but it is actually quite effective. I think it's just because it's so separate from everything else that's happening. I
Yeah.
guess it's easily forgettable, but it is actually a really good trap. I think.
Yeah. For sure. I just really like how they've went down a more route of it's a very personal story for John Kramer.
Mhm.
Very personally wanting to exact revenge.
Mhm.
Um, Doing a prequel was a good way of bringing back John Kramer.
Yeah. We
Um,
just need more Saw films set in this period. I think.
yeah, agreed. Yeah, it's a really good film, and I actually think out with the first one, it's probably the scariest of the lot of them.
Yeah, I feel that.
It goes back to actually being horror.
Mhm.
There's a bit in it where I think the pig character thing, mask person, is
Mhm.
breaking into like the doctor's house,
Yeah, the home
and
invasion scene.
you like see the pig like on the roof,
Mhm.
and it's like subtle enough that you're like, oh, what's that?
Mhm.
It's I think it's very cleverly done.
And because there's 2 of them as well, so you don't
Yeah.
expect everyone to come out.
Yep.
Uh, Yeah, that's a really great home invasion scene.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
love a good home invasion scene in a
Yep.
horror film. Have you seen Us by
No,
Jordan Peele? There's a good home invasion scene in that. Well, I guess 2, really.
sure.
So
Um, as you said earlier, there's no detective stuff in this one.
finally.
It's linear as well,
Yeah.
which is nice.
It's so bizarre that it took them 9 films to finally say, "Oh, wait, the detective stuff isn't working that well. Why don't we try film without it?" And then it
Yeah,
worked really well.
it feels like a breath of fresh air.
Mhm.
That's what the film feels like. It just feels we've had very similar films for like 8 films in a row.
Mhm.
We've actually got something a little bit different, while still being similar. It is a bit different.
Mhm. I also I like the victims, and well, not necessarily like them, but I think they're
Yeah,
interesting characters to be put into it. The main lady, I'm gonna look at her name, Peterson,
yep.
Dr. Peterson. She is really quite evil, probably one of the
She's
most evil characters in the
she's
franchise.
pretty insufferable. Like,
To the point where yeah, she's quite, like, mustache twirling at
yeah,
points.
yeah, 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 for
But
sure.
I quite like that,
Yeah,
because if you're gonna make Jigsaw look redeemable in any way, you need someone really evil like that.
yeah, definitely. Um, and yeah, Kevin Grutert comes back to direct this one.
Mhm.
Directs it really well, I think. There's no more any like crappy like color palettes or anything.
Yeah.
It looks quite nice.
Yeah.
It's I'm sitting here talking about it. I'm like I'm still kind of shocked in how good it is.
I know, it's mental. There was, like, no hope for another Saw film, and
Yeah,
now, like, we're all excited for Saw 11 to come out
yeah,
because this one was
exactly.
so good.
And Tobin Bell was excellent in the
He's
film.
brilliant.
So
I
good.
I also think this is a film where I probably liked Amanda the most.
Yeah, she's good in it. She's
I
really good in
like
it.
the relationship she has with one of the victims who is, like, she's a drug user, and so she's like, Jigsaw is kinda unfair," because she also, uh,
Yeah,
was a drug user for a time. So she's like, "Jigsaw, I know what she's going through here," but Jigsaw's like, "No, we still have to test her."
yeah,
And then
sure.
she's like calls an ambulance or whatever for her. She's like,
Yeah.
"We need to get her to the hospital." But then the
Um,
evil villain just stomps on her anyway.
yeah.
Horrible.
Um, do you have a favorite trap? Least favorite trap?
It's very hard to pick a favorite. I think all of them are really good.
Yep,
I
I agree.
remember the brain surgery was really hyped up going into it.
Yep.
That was all a lot of people were telling me, "Yeah, the guy, does brain surgery on himself." To the point where
Yep.
I almost wish I didn't know that was gonna happen going into it.
Sure.
It
Yep.
would have been a better scene if I didn't know it was coming.
Yep.
I also really like the one where she cuts off her leg.
That's
'Cause
my favorite.
it's a simple trap,
Yep.
and you wouldn't think much of that. Like, "Oh, it's still a film where a woman has to cut off her own leg," that's yeah, obviously. But
Yep.
it's really brutal, and also having to put the little tube into it as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Also something that I guess goes a little bit overlooked
Mhm.
because it happens in a post-credit scene.
Yeah.
I I quite like that concept of a trap too, the kind of disembowelment thing
Yeah.
that's going on. That was interesting. And I quite like how it's kind of unknown what the aftermath of that trap is.
Yeah. And I like the irony of that scene as well because that guy lied about having stomach cancer, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So I quite like the irony of that.
yeah, it's clever. And obviously Detective Hoffman appears in
Yeah.
that scene, which is
Brilliant. Got
great.
the whole gang back together. Even
Literally, like,
though
why is it's mentally the Saw films are doing like Marvel style
yeah.
cameos.
Yeah,
It's so
because these
good.
characters are so iconic.
Yeah,
Although, noticeably aged. These
yeah.
characters need to be wearing the baseball caps in the next
Yeah,
one.
yeah, exactly. Every character in a
I
baseball
can't suspend my disbelief otherwise.
cap. Do you have a least favorite?
Honestly, this might shock you, I put the eyeball vacuum. Not that I don't like this
Okay.
trap, I really like it as a trap, I just think I guess it being a dream sequence is kinda what pulls me out of it almost.
Yep.
It's,
Um,
kinda unsatisfying, the ends I
I
get.
and again, it was very difficult to choose because they
Mhm.
were all great. Um, I put, I don't actually know the name of it, the blood one with John on one side and the kid on the
Yeah.
other.
Just like with Seesaw or whatever.
Yeah, I put that, but that's still a good trap.
Yeah, it's a good trap.
Um, I just put it at least because there's a kid involved. And I'm like,
Sure.
it's a little bit far.
Yeah, I guess it's interesting that it kind of crosses that line. It's
Yeah,
definitely like one of our biggest taboos, and there's been a lot of controversy about the new Terrifier film as
sure.
well. Um, are you planning on seeing that?
New
Or
Terrifier. Yeah, I need to watch 2
yeah,
first.
I will say, and not spoiling it or anything. There are, I guess, scenes I can understand why people are upset about it
Yep,
involving children, but I think
sure.
it is kind of tastefully done in it. Oh, maybe not tasteful, but you know, you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Like,
killing kids is always tasteful, Fergus.
no, yeah, I love it. No, it's like it's off screen kind of stuff, so it's not too
Fergus,
bad.
is it the most shocking film you've ever seen, Terrifier 3? Did you vomit?
No,
Or did you have to go seek first aid after seeing it?
no, that was
'Cause
Long Legs.
that's the way the promotional material would have you think it
No,
was.
that was Long Legs for me. No, that was just that was too scary. Nah. That's I guess interesting. There's been two films like that this year, but they're
Is
really
it
hyped up as kind of.
yeah, would you say Terrifier 3 is the most violent of the 3?
Um, no, I don't. I think.
Okay,
Well, maybe, but it's not got any scenes that are like as excruciating as
sure.
the bedroom scene in the second one or the upside down one in the first one.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
guess it's just completely over the top in the third one.
sure, I got you. Anyway, Saw
We're not
X.
talking about Terrifier.
Yeah, I
It's
just
quite good though. Would recommend.
there isn't a lot I don't necessarily like about it.
No,
Um,
I agree. I really love Saw X.
yeah, um, I think I like how the final twist is. I quite like how it's done, and I like how Jigsaw kind of gets one up again, like on all these people.
Mhm.
Um, I wish you would have saw her die.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's one thing I really dislike.
Yeah, she's kind of she she probably survived that maybe.
Yeah, I'd imagine so.
So it's just that's a bit annoying. I wish that she'd got her comeuppance
Mhm.
because she
No,
is,
for
as you
sure.
said, such a despicable character
Yeah,
that it's
she is
actually quite
really
strange
evil.
that the film chooses not to kill her off.
Unless they're planning on bringing her back for the next one.
Maybe
That's the only reason I can really see for that. Because, like, she's not gonna be traumatized or anything and learn her lesson.
Jigsaw is put through traps by her.
That'd be interesting. That would be quite
I'm
good, actually.
down for that. I've
We
never thought
are
about that till now.
we already got a taste of that at the end of Saw X. That would be quite interesting.
Yeah, maybe they should get me on the writing team.
Yeah. I'm happy to contribute. We can get balls to the walls finally.
But yeah, overall, I really like Saw X.
Me too.
Definitely one of my favorites in the entire franchise.
No, agreed. Love it.
And that is
Roll
the
on Saw
entire
11.
roll on Saw 11. Yeah, and that is the entire franchise.
Oh, at long last, all the way from Saw 0.5 to Saw 10.
I don't know if you want to quickly, just for people at the end, just to run through our ranking.
Yeah, I actually need to update mine because I've now got the short film on mine.
Sure, I've not included the short film. I've got it right at the
Oh,
end. I don't think it's necessarily fair to rank it.
okay, I won't do that, everyone.
Okay.
That's fair enough.
Um. Okay. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, you go
Or
first.
okay. 10th place, Spiral. Very obviously.
hmm
Ninth
No,
place,
no disputing that.
ninth place, Saw 3D. 8th place, Saw 4. 7th place,
Okay.
Saw 5.
What?
6th
What's
place,
the meaning of
Jigsaw.
this?
Pick up Jigsaw.
No.
5th
No.
place, Saw 3.
Mhm.
4th place, Saw 2. 3rd
Mhm.
place, Saw X. 2nd, Saw 6. And top is Saw.
It's alright for the most part. There's definitely a few things I would change.
Yep. Let's
Uh,
hear yours, Fergus.
so what do you think I've got at 10? Take a wild guess.
Maybe the first Saw. I know you're not a big
That's
fan of
right.
that one.
Saw 1, Spiral. No, Spiral's at 10, obviously.
Yep.
Then Jigsaw, Saw 3D.
Shocking. Shocking.
It's not shocking because it's shit. Uh, Saw 3D,
Yep.
Saw 5,
Yep.
Saw 4,
Yep.
Saw 2,
Yep.
Saw 3, Saw Saw just sounds really weird now. The word sounds strange. Saw X and Saw 6.
Ah, there you go.
There we go. Nice little ranking there, and mine is correct. All right, so there we go.
I mean, our top 3 is the same, and our bottom one is this. Well, not the same, but the same films, just in a different order.
Yeah, top 3 are right.
And the bottom one's the same. But
yeah,
Jigsaw's a good film. Anyway,
let's not go there. Anyone who has Spiral not at 10, I'd like to have a word with. I'd like to know why. if that sounds like you, please get in touch.
Yeah, we should provide like a helpline phone number.
Yeah, we definitely should.
Please phone this number if you need help getting over your love for Spiral.
Yeah, no, that's mental. Even if you have it at like 9th, that's still weird.
Anyway, I'm proud of us that we actually managed to do this after all.
Oh, eventually, yeah.
I did say to Fergus, it's actually quite impressive that after 22 episodes, there hasn't been any mental technical difficulties.
Yeah, no.
So
yeah.
We've managed to.
Fire alarm.
Yeah. But we've done it. So thank you everyone for watching.
It's been a long one for us.
It's been a long one. It's been a whole week for us.
Yeah.
Next time we're going to be doing our top 10 horror films.
Yes, that's correct, I think.
And hopefully that'll be going out on actual Halloween.
Yeah.
Ooh. That was a good witch impression. I like that.
Thank you.
Which hand would it be?
Thank you.
By the way, Jack, can we do costumes for Halloween? For Halloween episode?
I'm not. Actually, here.
Yeah, like on the podcast.
If you want, I could maybe rustle something up.
Sick. I'll be suited.
Okay. Okay. Thank you everyone for watching. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, turn on notifications, all that jazz, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.
Bye.